Shii. From above the last remaining sky island, Thunder Spirit Island, I look down at the ruins of the human race territory. For some reason, I feel a complicated mix of emotions. Hey Seo Yunhyan. Jian Myohoon approaches my side and speaks. Jian Myohoon. Why do you look so grim? You were the one who did it. He looks down at me with slightly hollow eyes. Did I do the right thing? Didn't you say Kang Min-hee would be coming out soon anyway? Then, you did the right thing in the end. You know why I left Thunder Spirit Island, right? Jian Myohoon falls silent, his expression turning grim. That's right. I confidently raised the entire human race territory. Thanks to the All Heaven Sword's ability to ignore planes, there were injuries, but not a single death. However, I couldn't bring myself to destroy Thunder Spirit Island, the old site where Hong Su-ryong and our former sect, the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, once stood. It's an incredibly selfish decision. I destroyed others' lands and homes, driving them away, yet I spared the place that held my own memories, a total self-centered act. The land I destroyed was surely someone's grave, a place filled with their memories. The image of me smashing everyone else's homeland while clinging dearly to mine makes me look utterly despicable in my own eyes. Why are you acting so pitifully? It's unlike you. Jian Myohoon gently strokes the wooden box that holds the hand of Jin So-hei as he speaks. Hugging your hometown then dying, or living even if you have to roll in the dirt after everything's been smashed, it's obvious which is better, isn't it? Stop whining uselessly and get up to prepare for Kang Min-hee. The people from Black Ghost Valley are here. Got it. After a moment of silence, I shake off my thoughts and stand up. Just as he said, now is not the time to get lost in sentimentality. I head towards the area near Thunder Spirit Island, the place where the Black Ghost Valley and the Azure Heaven Creation Sect are gathered. The people from the Azure Heaven Creation Sect are diligently training their bodies on one side, while those from Black Ghost Valley are all silent and kneeling as if they are at a funeral. I look at the Black Grand Elder, Heo Guak, who is at the forefront, and speak. Grand Elder Heo, please rise. Why are you all like this? Kong. Instead of responding, Heo Guak bangs his head on the ground. I must first clarify that our opposition against Elder under the Grand Alliance's call was absolutely not of our own volition. Well, I figured as much. 2 nether-crossing ships with fully operational power sources and dozens of 4-axis Ghost Kings. On our side, we only have 1 nether-crossing ship without a power source, 2 4-axis Demon Beasts, O Hyeonseok and Azure Tiger Saint. It was practically a fight of dozens against 1. And yet, the fact that the Azure Heaven Creation Sect, Shiho, Seo Ran, and others were not instantly captured by Black Ghost Valley meant that they were quite lenient with us. Black Ghost Valley had no intention of being hostile toward us from the start, right? How could we ever dare to oppose you, Elder? It's no different from an ant declaring war against the king of a nation. I'm slightly puzzled by Heo Guak's attitude. Why are you being so formal? Is it because I destroyed the human race territory? It feels a bit strange. Even the Grand Cultivator Association, despite knowing how powerful I am, only saw me at the integration level and was brimming with fighting spirit, but Black Ghost Valley is acting unusually submissive. However, I immediately understood after hearing what he says next. We've been in contact with the main sect in the Nether Ghost Realm. That means word has spread about what I did in the Nether Ghost Realm. We are but insignificant creatures unworthy of even gazing at your shadow, Elder. The main sect instructed us that if we ever encounter Elder again, we should assess the situation and follow your command. So, is it because of the incident where I drove away 50 entering Nirvana true persons? It seems that Black Ghost Valley considers me as either the incarnation of a true immortal or perhaps even some sort of immortal treasure. I'm about to dismiss the flattery, but realizing we lack time, I simply nod. Well, I understand, then for now. Just as I'm about to command something to the Black Ghost Valley, I flinch, trembling as I scan the surroundings. Jian Myohoon also shudders as if sensing something, and both the Black Ghost Valley and Seo Ran, who have learned the Ghost Path method, tremble as well. In the sky, yin energy is surging. The energy of the dragon vein in the surroundings is gradually transforming into ghostly energy. My expression darkens. The place where the energy of the dragon vein is changing, and where the yin energy in the sky is gathering. As I trace the origin of these phenomena, I notice that the space beneath a Sky Island area, where Black Ghost Valley was previously located, is fluctuating. If I had delayed evacuating the human race by even a little, it could have been disastrous. I look towards the place where the human race has fled. There are no mortals among the humans in the bright cold realm. As a result, when I wreaked havoc, they were all able to quickly escape their homeland by boarding flying magic artifacts. I once lamented the lack of mortals, thinking it hindered the development of martial arts, but now, in retrospect, it's a blessing. Thanks to that, they could escape so swiftly. However, I can't afford to be satisfied with just that. I'll speak plainly. The disciple you took in with the ghostly yin transformation immortal root, she is soon about to go berserk. Pardon. You can feel the yin energy, right? Soon, she will burst forth from where your sect was once located. She will emerge from the side path on the outskirts of the netherworld and descend upon the bright cold realm. Her cultivation realm, even when estimated at the very minimum, will be at the quasi-star shattering stage. No. I bite my lip, recalling how Jang Ik assessed Kang Minhee in her prime. Other than having no rationality, it will be better to consider her at the actual star-shattering stage. That. Hyo Guak seems to think it's impossible. But at that moment, a terrifying ghostly wail echoes from one part of the human race territory. Kuyaka. Kug. Everyone who has learned the ghost path method, except for me, coughs up a handful of blood. I stare with a hardened look at the source of the wail. In about 1 or 2 shichen, Kang Minhee will descend. I am aware of the true purpose of the nether crossing ships. I speak while looking at Hyo Guak. To collect all souls and spirits across the entire heavenly domain when the end arrives. It's designed for spatial transmission, dimensional transfer, and such. It's not meant for attack but for transportation. Isn't that right? To know a fact only passed down to disciples of the Black Ghost Valley, how could? No. It's only natural that Elder would know. He readily acknowledges the truth, and I steady myself, looking at the place where Kang Minhee is about to descend. Fly at full speed, immediately towards the direction where the human race fled, and load the entire human race onto the nether crossing ships. I command them with a stern expression. The human race Grand Alliance, which includes the residents of the bright cold realm, was estimated at roughly 30 billion by Temporal Fate Island. It's possible to squeeze 7 billion of Earth's population into a single state in the United States. The spatial compression on the nether crossing ship is enough to fully contain the heaven-treading desert. Considering that the size of the heaven-treading desert is similar to the continent I know as the Americas, theoretically, the insane population of 30 billion can be accommodated. Hyo Guak nods slightly with a somewhat reluctant expression at my words. However, without doubling the power source, it will be difficult to guarantee speed. Also, even if we use spatial transmission, it's still within another region. As Elder mentioned, if the disciple who lost reason is at the star-shattering stage, they can easily catch up using the ground-shrinking technique. It doesn't matter, we can just do dimensional transfer. Even if we do dimensional transfer, where should we move to? The true devil realm hates the human race due to the recent human-devil Great War. The purple gold realm is too far, and if we go to the nether ghost realm, the entire human race would perish. The ancient force realm also requires a special kind of attraction force to enter. Not another middle realm, but go to a region in the chaos realm. If it's the chaos realm, the spatial coordinates are all mixed up, so she won't be able to easily use the ground-shrinking technique to follow. But for that, we would need fixed spatial coordinates within the chaos realm region. And there are no fixed spatial coordinates in the chaos realm regions to begin with, and also, there are. I cut off Hyo Guak's words and hand him spatial coordinates I know of. This place is. Hyo Guak's face turns pale as he receives the coordinates from me, while Hyo Ryong's face flushes red upon seeing them. This. Any objections? When I look down at Hyo Ryong, he rubs his side and lowers his head. We will follow the Elder's command. Good, now that it's decided, move quickly. Fly towards the direction where the human race has fled and prepare for spatial leap. The people of the Black Ghost Valley gather the members of the Azure Heaven Creation sect and fly in the direction where the human race escaped. The coordinates I gave them are the ones that had been in Jang Ik's Pado. In other words, they are the coordinates of the Heart Tribe territory. I dispel the floating formation on Thunder Spirit Island, letting it fall downward. Then I take out Kim Young-hoon from my domain and request both him and Jeon Myung-hoon. Could you two please take a look around the human race territory to check if there are any people left? Upon hearing my words, Jeon Myung-hoon and Kim Young-hoon nod and vanish from sight with speed like light and lightning. I confirm those who remain. Seo Ran, who seems to have much to say to the people of Black Ghost Valley, and Chi-ho, Azure Tiger Saint, who remained after sending off the Azure Heaven Creation Sect, as well as Oh Hyun-seok. Kim Yeon, who decided to stay to check on Kang Min-hee's condition, and Buck Hyung-hwa, who followed her. Hong Fan, who remained following me, is also still present. Meanwhile, Wei Shihan, Hwa, Yeonjin, and the others boarded the Nether Crossing ship and followed Black Ghost Valley. I look at them and speak. Thank you for staying. However, what I'm about to do from now on is merely a stalling tactic. In other words, the opponent is currently in such a terrifying state that all I can do is buy time. Therefore, if a critical situation arises, I ask that you follow my orders without hesitation. Everyone nods in agreement. If the situation becomes critical, the plan is to place my comrades within Jeon Myung-hoon's domain, and then have Jeon Myung-hoon and Kim Young-hoon combine their strengths to reach the Nether Crossing ship of Black Ghost Valley, which departed earlier. Kurururung. Flash. As red lightning and golden radiance flickers, Kim Young-hoon and Jeon Myung-hoon return. Jeon Myung-hoon shows me the countless humans inside his domain. These are people who were either in seclusion or couldn't evacuate in time due to various circumstances. With Young-hoon Hyung-nim's help, we captured them all. Jeon Myung-hoon, who suddenly started calling Kim Young-hoon Hyung-nim at some point, shows me the people inside his domain and then points at one person with an irritated expression. Hu Hyuak. A woman is dragged out of the domain by Jeon Myung-hoon's attraction force, shrieking as she struggles and screams. It's T. Yeoljeon. Or rather, the woman who had been T. Yeoljeon in a previous cycle. In the process, this woman claimed to know you and insisted on staying here, so I ignored her and brought her along. Do you know her? H. Hyuak Elder, do you remember me? Please save me. Th. This person is surely trying to take me to some strange place to turn me into a pill. I don't, and Jeon Myung-hoon isn't that kind of person, so be quiet. I ignore her and snap my fingers. She's flung back into a corner of Jeon Myung-hoon's domain. Hong Fan looks at her with an annoyed expression, covering his nose and shaking his head. It's obvious she mistook Jeon Myung-hoon, who appeared with an intimidating aura and suddenly tried to take her away, for a devilish cultivator collecting ingredients to make human pills. In any case, thanks to her, the tension eases a bit and we chuckle. After telling Jeon Myung-hoon to take our comrades to the Nether Crossing ship in case of an emergency, I turn to look at the ground where Kang Min-hee is about to descend. Now then, everyone stay alert. And then, Kagagugu, with an overwhelming presence, as Kang Min-hee is about to descend. Pod. Suddenly, I find myself in a strange space. A place filled with pure spiritual energy. Chills. Above a high mountain that seems to overlook the entire bright cold realm. Top there, I have been transported in front of a huge pavilion made of white jade. Come here. A clear voice echoes from within the pavilion. I am Baek-woon. I have called only your consciousness here to have a brief conversation with you. Chapter 417, Face-to-Face 2. This is it. I recognize the presence before me and feel a deep chill in my heart. Literally, the being within the white jade pavilion is no different from a world itself. The more I try to perceive, the more it feels like my consciousness is sinking into a quagmire. A presence that evokes despair before any sense of intimidation. The administrator of the bright cold realm. Sacred Master Baek-woon. Without realizing it, I have fallen to my knees and prostrated myself before Sacred Master Baek-woon. Seo Yoon-hyun of the human path pays respects to the Sacred Master. Snap. With the sound of something bouncing, I suddenly find myself inside the white jade pavilion. I have entered a grand hall vast enough to be a castle. This authority. I have seen this kind of unreasonable authority once before, one that can instantly strip away someone's consciousness and place it before them. The true persons. It's the authority of the true persons at the entering nirvana stage. Which means, the being before me must be considered on par with the true persons. Gulp. I swallow nervously. Even if the sacred master intends to scatter my soul and spirit right now, I don't think I can resist. Well, not to that extent. Regardless, it's clear that this is a being capable of harming me at any moment. May I ask why the sacred master has summoned this one, who is still merely a mortal from the human path? In response to my question, Sacred Master Beak Wound's clear voice resonates throughout the pavilion. Raise your head. With a trembling heart, I lift my head. And then I see it. A giant. Kagagugu. A giant whose upper body alone seems to be 2 or 3 li long, is sitting on a white jade throne, looking down at me. Sacred Master Beak Wound's skin has parts that are partially exposed, resembling tree bark, and white branches seem to sprout from her head. She is dressed in a pure white robe, and from her eyes upright energy is flowing. As I continue to gaze up at Sacred Master Beak Wound, I realize that what I am seeing is an illusion. Flinching. I snap back to reality and focus my consciousness, and the giant vanishes from my sight, replaced by a withered tree-like being sitting on a small throne. It looks like a scarecrow made of dried-up wood hastily dressed in a woman's clothes. 7 lightning spears of different colors are embedded in her chest and abdomen, softly sparking with lightning. Golden, red, dark blue, purple, pale pink, dark red, and black lightning sparks whip around, forming chains that restrain her movements and coil around her. Sacred Masterbeak Wound tilts her head slightly and speaks. As expected, is your weight class at the star-shattering stage to have directly pierced through my aura and seen my true form. As I stare at those lightning spears, I somehow feel that I know who their owner is, and I let out a sigh in my mind. My eyes meet those of Sacred Masterbeak Wound. Though her body is like a withered tree due to the lightning spears, her eyes are remarkably similar to the clear, bright ones I have seen in the earlier illusion. Perhaps the vision I have seen earlier is her true form in her prime. You know why I summoned you, traveler from the ominous world. There are too many possibilities, making it impossible to pinpoint exactly what it is. As cold sweat drips from my brow, she chuckles softly. Her laughter, while not as potent as the laughter of esteemed ones at the star-shattering stage that could strike like an integration stage attack just by hearing it, I feel an even greater sense of danger. While the laughter of the esteemed ones felt like they couldn't contain their overflowing power, the laughter of the sacred master feels like it has completely controlled that immense power, leaving only pure laughter behind. A danger even more restrained than that of the esteemed ones. That is the sacred master. You survived even after meeting that arrogant monarch, did you not? Arrogant monarch. Though the title is incorrect, I instantly know who she is referring to. It seems she knows that I survived an encounter with the owner of Great Mountain. Yes, that tyrannical governing immortal wouldn't have retreated without a reason. Do you know what the reason is? I'm startled by her words. She casually mentioned a governing immortal. Seeing the slight shock on my face, she tilts her head and says, "The reason why one should not carelessly perceive or utter the names of true immortals is that doing so creates an attraction force. This force can shock and kill lesser beings. However, someone at my level can strip the power contained in the title and speak it. That way, discussing them isn't all that difficult." I see. So your answer to the question is? I swallow. I cannot say. After meeting the heavenly venerable of time and using his power to travel back 190,000 years, I was saved from being killed by the mountain god thanks to the help of the god of light. It's simple to say, but there are too many governing immortals involved in this. Even if I assume Beak Wound could suppress the attraction force generated from my words, it's hard to believe she can control the forces of so many beings at once. Hearing my response, she seems slightly displeased, tapping the armrest of her throne with a hem. I look at Sacred Master Beak Wound and speak. That aside, if you have nothing else to say, may I ask for a favor? What is it? The presence of the star-shattering stage trying to enter the bright cold realm. Please help me subdue her and restore her rationality. She replied, "Why should I do that?" Pardon? I'm taken aback by her response. And no, she's merely lost her reason, but she's still a being at the star-shattering stage. I cannot stop her, and a sacred master as far as I'm aware. Aren't you the one who protects the bright cold realm? You seem to be mistaken. She clicks her tongue and says, "Guest from the ominous world. I manage the bright cold realm, but I am not responsible for the safety of the living beings within it. What does that? No, never mind. I try to understand what she means, but then remember I don't have time, so I shout. If there is nothing else to be said, please send me back. I will stop her, even if it has to be with my own hands. That I cannot do. I must observe you to confirm whether there is an attraction force from the arrogant monarch. If you are indeed their puppet, letting you go could lead to the world's destruction. I understand what she means. I am the one who directly witnessed the destruction of the world by the owner of Great Mountain. But I can't back down now. I draw upon the power of the phenomena extinguishing mantra, causing spiritual energy like grains of salt to float around me. I have no intention of recklessly using the phenomena extinguishing mantra. This is purely an intimidation tactic. Send me back immediately. I must stop her. If not, I will detonate this. It's a simple bluff. No one understands better than me the tyranny of the owner of Great Mountain, and I resolved not to carelessly use anything related to true immortals anymore. However, Sacred Master Beak Woon doesn't seem to take it as mere bluffing. She flinches slightly before speaking kindly. If it's time you're worried about, don't be. Snap. Well, Woon. I tighten my focus as I feel the surrounding environment start to distort. Her following words only heighten my tension. I have accelerated our consciousnesses by 100-fold. We'll have time to share a brief conversation. The authority to casually pull someone's consciousness and accelerate it. I have also accelerated Kim Yeon's consciousness within her dream, but that was due to the special nature of her dream. However, Sacred Master Beak Woon has the power to interfere with someone else's consciousness directly in reality. While investigating the attraction force in your soul in this accelerated consciousness, while I can't say it's done in exchange, ask any questions you may have. I'll answer to the best of my knowledge. She intends to investigate me in this accelerated world while addressing any of my questions. I think for a moment and then nod. Very well. Then first, why does the Sacred Master leave the Mad Lord who is massacring the living beings of the bright cold realm alone? And why does she allow the existence of the ghostly yin transformation immortal root that will devour the land of the bright cold realm? As I said before, I am merely the administrator of the bright cold realm. I am not your protector. What does that mean? She seems to ponder for a moment before speaking. To make you understand, I will need to give a somewhat lengthy explanation. Do you know the purpose of the existence of sacred masters? Other than being the administrators of worlds, I do not know much. Why do you think we manage worlds? How would I know that? A cheeky thing. Listen carefully. From sacred masters onward, we begin cultivation by sensing the attraction force of fate. Wasn't the attraction force of fate something only a true immortal can handle? No, that's not right. Now that I think about it, even quasi-immortals used fate to bestow misfortune upon me. Perhaps from the latter stages of the middle boundary, one can begin to handle the attraction force of fate to some extent through the plane of fate. We cultivate by sensing a total of 8 types of attraction forces of fate, and in that process, what's absolutely necessary is a vast world. The best option is a middle realm, the second is a star system, and the last is being captured by a living true immortal and used as an immortal treasure. You understand why the last one must be a living, true immortal, right? Are you saying it's possible to manage a dead true immortal? Beak Woon nods. Yes, someone of your level might have already guessed, but the middle realms within the sun and moon heavenly domain, except for one, are entirely composed of the corpses of dead true immortals. I am somewhat shocked, but since I suspected this for a long time, I only let out a silent sigh of acceptance. Around 500,000 years ago, under the lead of a great being known as the Vast Cold Heavenly Lord, 3 judges of the Netherworld, a Netherworld spy, and a grand Netherworld army, 5 gods in total along with a grand army composed of innumerable reapers and true immortals, descended upon our sun and moon heavenly domain. It is said that the Vast Cold Heavenly Lord, after competing with the 4 heavenly venerables and proving their strength, descended here with a certain purpose and waged war. It's fascinating. Perhaps it's because Beak Woon can control the power contained in her words. Despite the dangerous knowledge she is imparting, no matter how much I listen, it doesn't seem like it will cause any immediate problems. After competing with the four heavenly venerables, the vast cold heavenly lord descended to the sun and moon heavenly domain and waged war against something with overwhelming power. But it is said that the vast cold heavenly lord's forces, including the netherworld army, suffered a crushing defeat. The origin story of the bright cold realm from 500,000 years ago flows from her lips. You know of the vestiges of the interdimensional void, correct? The shed skins of quasi-immortals when they ascend to become true immortals, or their corpses. Even beings of true immortal rank can sometimes create vestiges when they die incorrectly. And a corpse of the vast cold heavenly lord, who died a miserable death, was especially prone to creating a vestige. Can you imagine how terrifying the vestige of the vast cold heavenly lord, who fought on equal terms with the four heavenly venerables, would be? The vestige alone could destroy the entire sun and moon heavenly domain. Thus, the true persons of the sun and moon heavenly domain at the stage of entering nirvana all gathered and discussed. Someone must take charge of the corpses of those judges and the vast cold heavenly lord, become a sacred master, and manage them so they don't turn into vestiges. We absolutely need gravekeepers to manage the remains of those beings. Sacred Master Beak Woon sighs as she speaks. So, the corpse of the vast cold heavenly lord was taken over by the first sacred master of the bright cold realm, and the descendant of a judge, lofty dragon true person, who temporarily lowered their realm to enter. In the ancient force realm, it was Yu. He means Zion Zizhai, Yu means willow / Chinese letter, the son of the ancient force true lord. In the nether ghost realm, it was Yu Chinese letter, the retainer of the nether ghost true lord. In the true devil realm, it was Sae as an imperial seal, as in yin Chinese letter, the immortal treasure of the nether devil true lord. In the purple gold realm, a child who had just risen to become a sacred master nearby was captured and became the sacred master. And after some time, lofty dragon true person was killed by that thing, and I lowered my realm to become the sacred master. You understand now? She clenches and unclenches her withered hand as she continues. I am not the protector of the living beings of the bright cold realm. If I were still a sacred master in the midst of cultivation, I might have protected the living beings because I would have needed to cultivate through the attraction force of fate. But I am beyond the point of needing to comprehend the meaning of attraction force, or rather, there is no need to do so. My role is not to protect you living beings, but to tether this middle realm mass known as the bright cold realm with the attraction force of fate, preventing the world from splitting and giving birth to terrifying vestige. So you won't help us? I've done what I could. I've called Jang Ik, so if you endure for about 500 years, he will arrive. In around 500 years, his avatar will reach here and take care of the Mad Lord and the star-shattering stage ghostly creature. Are you saying you'll just watch as living beings are massacred for 500 years? It's just 500 years. What are you so worried about? Sacred Master Beak Woon props her chin with one hand and points to her abdomen. In any case, I sustained a fatal injury while fighting the left ring finger of Yang Sujin 120,000 years ago, so I don't have the luxury to waste my power. Summoning Jang Ik is the greatest mercy I could extend for the sake of the living beings. I sigh inwardly, coming to grips with the overwhelming truths I have just learned. Wuvung. Payet. I suddenly realize that something that I haven't even realized is there which entered my body at some point has been extracted. The investigation is over. For now, I don't see any connected attraction forces. You don't need to worry about the arrogant monarch suddenly descending again. Then you'll let me go now. Despite our consciousnesses being accelerated, some time has passed while listening to her story. Kang Minhe's descent is imminent. I'll answer one last question before letting you go. Thank you in that case. I organize my complicated thoughts and ask a question. Lastly, you said I came from an ominous world. I ask her why some high-ranking beings, starting with Yang Sujin and including Jingli, consider the head realm to be ominous. There are many other things I am curious about, but I feel this is the most important. At my words, her expression hardens slightly before she speaks. Do you know how the 6 middle realms are arranged? I don't know. At my response, Sacred Master Beak Woon taps the armrest with her finger. Tung. From the place she tapped, a ripple spreads out, and soon the surroundings are dyed with an illusion. I find myself standing within a vast darkness. In the darkness, I see 5 sun-like lights and one small dark red light. Her voice echoes amidst the darkness. Those lights are the 5 middle realms, The dark red one is the blood yin realm. Look closely, as I made them in forms you can see. As I observe the middle realms as she said, I can see corpses within the masses of light. I can't clearly see their faces, but I can tell that each and every one had died horrific deaths, either grotesquely twisted, pierced with gaping holes, or in the case of the ancient force realm, their entire body was crushed and turned into a pulp, leaving only a head. The blood yin realm is just a dark red mist, making it impossible to see anything clearly. Taku. When she snaps her fingers, tiny lights begin to appear again around us. These are the decaying corpse realms. They are the fragments of beings from the Netherworld army and the followers of Vast Cold who were killed by the something. Observe them carefully. Between the 5 middle realms, I shudder as I look at the small light that appeared in the very center. It's the decaying head of someone with their eyes rolled back into their skull. The head realm. The head realm is at the center of the 5 middle realms. Though it's closest to the bright cold realm, it isn't that close and is only slightly closer than the other middle realms. That is the head realm, the ominous world from which you have come. Yes, it's in the center of the middle realms. That is not what's important. Look again at the direction in which the middle realms died. Pardon. At her words, I look at the corpses within the light masses. The ancient force, which has been turned into pulp with only the head remaining, is looking towards the head realm. The severed head and arms of the purple gold realm, whose body has been cut into 8 pieces, are directed towards the head realm. The head of the twisted corpse from the nether ghost realm, twisted grotesquely even in death, seems to be looking at the head realm, as if reaching out towards it. The true devil realm, with its body horribly mutilated and missing parts, is also looking towards the head realm. And then, the horrifically distorted body of the bright cold realm. The vast cold heavenly lord, too, has died with an outstretched hand, as if reaching out towards the head realm. Only after realizing this do I feel a chilling sense of fear that makes my hair stand on end. You see, the head realm from which you have ascended from, it looks as though the gods who once made their names known throughout the heavenly domain met their tragic end while charging towards the head realm. For some reason, the words audience chamber that Chingmun Ryong wrote seemed to flicker before my eyes. Audience chamber, a place where one greets a great being. Do you now understand why the head realm is considered an ominous place? If so, what kind of entity is the existence of the audience chamber that even the great vast cold heavenly lord and the judges twisted their bodies in such a way to meet? Chapter 418, Face-to-Face 3. Burururu. At the shape of the head realm and the positions of the world surrounding it, I shiver and clear my mind. There's nothing I can figure out right now. I need to stay alert, but I shouldn't keep thinking about it. The more I think about it, the more the attraction force builds up, and if that happens, who knows what kind of entity might peek into my mind. Thank you for the valuable information. All right, then, be on your way. After Sacred Master Beak Woon fully releases the acceleration on my consciousness, I feel that she has granted me permission to return at any time. I speak to her. May I come back later to resolve some questions? She ponders for a moment before replying. If you want to meet with me alone before reaching the star-shattering stage, at least stabilize those disasters first. She must be talking about the Mad Lord and Kang Minhee. I nod after considering for a moment. Understood, I will try my best. Good, then let us meet again later. Wu-Wung. With those words, my consciousness quickly returns from the heavenly Lotus Mountain, where Sacred Master Beak Woon resides. When I open my eyes, I find myself back in the same situation. Kagagugu. Yin energy is overflowing, and Kang Minhee is descending. If Jian Myohoon and Kim Young-hoon combine their strength, they can reach a speed close to the star-shattering stage. The rest of my comrades are also capable of each handling their own parts. Moreover, considering that Sacred Master Beak Woon has verified my weight class as being on the level of the star-shattering stage, I should be able to at least buy some time against Kang Minhee, who is descending now. Surung. I draw out the colorless glass sword from the void through my domain and move forward to join my comrades. Kururung. Dark clouds cover the sky, and from their center, space begins to distort as a gray sphere starts to appear. A phenomenon where the outskirts of the netherworld is being forcibly overlaid onto reality. But that isn't the end. Kung. Is it the sound of a rifle being fired? The sound of a grenade exploding? Or the sound of a mountain being blown away by a spell? A similar explosion echoes from deep within. Kung. But instinctively, I realize that this isn't just any ordinary explosion. It's a heartbeat. Yes, this is the sound of someone's heartbeat. Kuang. With the third heartbeat, the gray sphere turns black. Tieshaya. Black smoke pours out from the darkened sphere, and the sight makes the hair on my body stand on end. Crazy. What looks like smoke is actually tiny specks of dust, and each of those specks are at least a chi building level ghost. Kuang. The fourth heartbeat echoes. The sphere begins to crack, and I feel something trying to burst out from inside. I speak with a hardened expression. Younghun Hyung Nim, Jian Myohun, everyone head to the nether crossing ship now. It seems I underestimated the situation. I assumed that the Kang Min-hee of the star-shattering stage we are about to face is the same Kang Min-hee I had encountered in the previous 18th cycle with Seo Li. The Kang Min-hee of that time had only just reached the star-shattering stage, and she felt about the same level as I am now. The most overwhelming Kang Min-hee I ever encountered is the one from 1,000 years in the future. The bona fide star-shattering stage Kang Min-hee was so terrifying that Jang Ik had to personally confront the ghost guiding Holy Mother. Therefore, even though we are not yet 1,000 years into the future, but only about 500 years later, the current situation, it seems I had been under the delusion that I could possibly face Kang Min-hee. What do you mean, Yoon Hyeon? How can we abandon our comrade? We can each pull our own weight. I said go now. I cut off Kim Young-hoon and Jeon Myo-hoon, shouting fiercely. It's because my weight class has reached the star-shattering stage that I can sense it, while my comrades, still at the integration level, seem unaware. Fortunately, Kim Yoon, whose consciousness has explosively grown to a level beyond the integration stage, seems to grasp the meaning behind my words. She nods with cold sweat trickling down her face, and Hong Fan stares blankly into the sphere as if sensing something. Do as he says, everyone. Kim Yoon clutches her head and breathes heavily as she speaks, and since Kim Young-hoon and Jeon Myo-hoon are not entirely oblivious to the situation, they exchange glances and ask with dark expressions. Will you be all right? As long as you all aren't here, I can muster every means available to hold out. All right. Jeon Myo-hoon nods. Then he and Kim Young-hoon combine their strength, transforming into a golden lightning bird and flying off towards the nether crossing ship of the Black Ghost Valley. To forget that a reaper of the netherworld intervened. Are you retarded, Seo Yoon Hyeon? I curse myself furiously. Kuang. Crack. At last, a long, slender hand breaks through the sphere. Kagagugu. If my suspicion is right, this cycle's Kang Min-hee will be stronger than any version of her I encountered before. Because she... Crack. Shatter. You're finally here. Due to the intervention of a reaper of the netherworld, at this point in time, 500 years after we arrived in this world, her power already exceeds that of herself 1,000 years in. Whisper, 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 whisper. It's as if countless whispers are flickering at my ears. Unintelligible murmurs. Resentment, wailing screams, prayers, cries. The languages of the dead are all spewing out from one place. The monarch of ghosts who leads tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, trillions of ghosts. It is the voice of the ghost guiding Holy Mother Kang Min-hee. Whisper, whisper, whisper. Kugaguk. Just from her whispers, I can feel an enormous shockwave, understanding that this force is akin to the attack of an integration stage cultivator. It's on par with the laughter of the star-shattering stage, esteemed ones in the lightning sacred sea. Fortunately, I have grown stronger since then, and I can still stand here now. A black ghost with a 10-jang tall body, tearing at its own head as it utters countless whispers. Her head stretches out for several li, merging with the darkness, and she wears a robe of shadows with blue tears streaming from her eyes. This is the Ghost Mother. I shout at Kang Min-hee, the ghost guiding Holy Mother. Over here. Whoosh. At my words, her gaze locks onto me. Kugaguk. Just from her gaze, the ground around me begins to rot from the yin energy, and ghosts start appearing in all directions. But I meet her gaze calmly and give a bitter smile. Surung. We have a lot of unfinished conversations, don't we? I raise the colorless glass sword and assume a sword stance. Let's share them now. The next moment, Kang Min-hee has already arrived in front of me. Quagwagwagwing. She swings her arm down. In the past, I wouldn't have been able to react and would have been buried deep in the ground by such a blow. But now, I smoothly deflect her hand with my sword and kick off the ground, soaring high into the sky. In an instant, the blue sky draws closer, and I rise high enough for the vast territory of the human race to look small. I can see Heavenly Lotus Mountain. I glance at Sacred Master Beak Woon's Heavenly Lotus Mountain, where I had just been, and then turn my gaze to Kang Min-hee, who has already caught up with me. Rip. She opens her mouth. Her blue teeth, having already turned into those of a monster, are jagged and sharp like a shark. Your teeth are healthy as always, I see. Crunch. I joke as I watch Kang Min-hee bite down on my colorless glass sword. Of course, she doesn't seem inclined to humor me. She pulls me below her using the strength of her neck and then dives straight down from this height, trying to plunge me directly into the ground. Huaruraruk. Like a meteor entering the atmosphere and bursting into flames, she and I are surrounded by fire. This is going to hurt, sorry. Boing. In the midst of the scorching heat, I twist the colorless glass sword that is clenched in her mouth. Kagyak. With a few sword cries, the direction of the twisted colorless glass sword in her mouth shifts. At the same time, the colorless glass sword that's wedged between her teeth cleanly severs Kang Min-hee's head. Kiyaliao. A horrifying ghostly wail seems to echo beyond from the human race territory all the way to the leaf race territory. Gurgle gurgle. From the place where her head is severed, black liquid flows, and 2 new heads sprout from Kang Min-hee's neck. It's an amusing trick, but since I can produce up to 20 heads myself, I take advantage of her confusion instead of being impressed and climb onto her body. Uguk. She squirms as if trying to shake me off, but in her human form, I have her arms completely pinned down, pressing her beneath me and making it difficult for her to escape. Kiyaaku. Another upper body sprouts from her back. The new upper body aims a ghostly claw at me, but it's already too late. I summon my true form with 20 heads, and using the 1,000-pound descent, Chinese letter technique, I add the weight of an entire continent to her by enhancing the mass within my domain. Quang. A massive rupture emerges across the entire human race territory, triggering tectonic shifts. I feel a little sorry for the neighboring leaf race, knowing their territory is likely experiencing massive earthquakes and tsunamis. I'm sorry, I don't have the strength to evacuate you all. While initiating an emergency alert, I offer a slight apology to the leaf race and other nearby races who are just now beginning to evacuate. I then raise my sword towards the writhing darkness beneath my feet. From a higher plane to a lower plane. From a higher stance to a lower target. In an instant. In a moment so brief that it surpasses even the speed of the surpassing radiant saber, my deep mountain, emerging Tao single strike lands on the ghost guiding Holy Mother. Buwuang. The human race territory, spanning about 500,000 li, is once again split in half by my sword energy. Sound itself fails to keep up with the speed, arriving only afterwards. However, I harden my expression, and without hesitation, I withdraw from the ghost guiding Holy Mother after delivering the strike. Uvio. Ghosts begin to sing. The tectonic shifts I caused by striking the ghost guiding Holy Mother into the entire human race territory. From the cracks formed by those tectonic shifts, yin energy and ghostly energy begin to rise. Kagagugugu. This dog-like. I mutter a curse under my breath as I realize the true nature of that yin energy. Why is the human race considered one of the 2 evils among the 6 great races? Turning living creatures into pills is not a vice exclusive to humans. Many other races also keep slave races, and the mindset full of invasion and plunder isn't unique to humanity either. In hypocrisy, the tall tree race and paired wings race surpasses them. In strangeness, the fungal bone race is above. In ugliness, the rotting owl race is superior. In battle prowess, the fighting ghost race outpaces humans. Yet the human race is among the 2 evils. Why is that? The truth lies in their quantity. The human race is one of the countless heaven tribe races, seemingly ordinary at first glance. But the human race is a species that could covet others' possessions even when they don't need them. Humans could kill others even when it isn't necessary, desire to be more comfortable than needed, and pursue comfort and ease beyond necessity. The power of their desire surpasses the combat prowess of the fighting ghost race. The ugliness of their desire surpasses the rotting owl race. The strangeness of their desire surpasses the fungal bone race, and the hypocrisy of their desire surpasses that of the tall tree and paired wings races. Countless races were captured, experimented on, and turned into pills within the human race territory. So where did the souls of those countless races go? Kagagagugugu. Why did the human race abandon perfectly good land and insist on living arrogantly on the sky islands above it? Uvio. Uvio. Area. Houwe. It hurts, it hurts. Stop it, stop it. It has been 500,000 years since the creation of the bright cold realm. After those long 500,000 years, the ugliness of the human race, who slaughtered and devoured countless other races, finally begins to surface. Kagagagugu. I stand at the very bottom of the human race's territory. There beneath the ground, I meet the ghost guiding Holy Mother and see the endless souls pouring out, feeling utterly speechless. When the human race plunders other races, they extract the inner cores and demon cores of those races to use as pills, turn their blood and skin into talismans, and their bones and organs into magic artifacts. Even their souls are absorbed by devilish cultivators, who suck out their spiritual energy, leaving only the remaining scraps to be discarded below the sky islands like food waste. By doing so, no matter how much resentment those souls harbor, they are left powerless and unable to become vengeful ghosts due to their lack of energy. Even if they later try to slowly recover their energy, other souls, constantly falling from above, would turn into hungry ghosts and devour each other's energy in a desperate struggle to regain their strength. Souls so full of resentment that they can't enter the netherworld, and so weakened that they can't even reach the nether ghost realm, continue to struggle and drain each other's energy in endless torment within the earth. The land beneath the sky island is nothing short of humanity's garbage dump. However, due to Kang Min-hee, the countless vengeful spirits who had been oppressed and tortured by the human race begin to awaken all at once, regaining their strength through her power. No, to be precise, Kang Min-hee is merely a conduit. It feels as though power is being drawn from deep within and supplied to the vengeful spirits. Humans. Kill, 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 kill. Join us, join us, join us. Ither, tither, titherd. We must kill you the same way to make you feel the same. As the vengeful spirits who were sacrificed by humanity regain their strength, they all simultaneously become beings at least at the chi building level. I look up at Kang Min-hee with a shocked expression, seeing how the power she can command has increased in an instant. Kagagagugu. Countless vengeful spirits, numbering in the trillions and quadrillions, flow into her, causing her size to grow even larger. Her body, which was originally about 10 zhang, now surpassed 40 zhang, reaching a height of 4 li. I let out a hollow laugh as I look at her now mountain-sized form. Damn humans. Quagwigwang. Her giant hand comes crashing down on the spot where I was standing. I completely abandon the thought of trying to buy time against her. I need to escape. Even in my form as the Ghost King with 20 heads, I'm no match for her who is commanding innumerable ghosts. At first, the ghosts hesitated when they saw me, but after Kang Min-hee grew to the size of a mountain, they instead set their ghost fire ablaze and are now madly reaching out to me, as if wanting to become one. Sorry, but your mistress and I have a rather uncomfortable relationship. Chuak. I dodge the black hands that are closing in on me like a net covering the sky and look at the human race territory, now completely engulfed in darkness and transformed into something resembling the nether ghost realm. Wu Vlung. Though it's a bit unseemly, I begin to flee, using the energy of the 3 great ultimates entirely to dodge her grasp. To say my energy is at the star-shattering weight class means that the sheer magnitude of my energy is at the early star-shattering level. However, even with that, I have no chance against her. Having fully embraced the filth of humanity, she is now practically at the mid-star-shattering stage. Flash, flash. I use every means at my disposal, including the gliding technique, flying escape technique, ground shrinking technique, and sword flight to escape. The darkness that covers the human race territory begins to chase after me. Kagagagugu. Could even Jang Ik stop that? Cold sweat trickles down my back as I look up at the darkness of the ghost guiding Holy Mother that is swallowing up the territories of other races. Rumble, rumble. Black lightning flashes as dark blue ghost fire pours out from within, sweeping over the white horned race, one of the neighboring races of the human race. Kagagugu. Countless cultivators of the cultivation world. And the heaven tribe, who has always given birth to the heart tribe. Although the human race is particularly severe, no other heaven tribe race is innocent either. They too have massacred and invaded other races. And the countless vengeful spirits of those they invaded are once again being sucked into the darkness of the ghost guiding Holy Mother, gaining power. Kurarung. I watch as the aura of the ghost guiding Holy Mother gradually grows larger amidst the sound of black thunder. Crazy. I feel like I am about to lose my breath. Each time she swallows an entire race, the size of the darkness grows larger. Although it isn't as rapid a change as when she swallowed the vengeful spirits of the human race, it's clear to the naked eye that she is growing stronger with every race and vengeful spirit she devours. There is a reason Kang Min-hee managed to swallow 1/50th of the bright cold realm 1,000 years in. And now, Kang Min-hee has already gained power surpassing what she would have had at the beginning of her rampage 1,000 years in, after meeting the chief judge. Sacred Master Baek Woon. It seems we'll need to summon Jang Ik's main body, not just his avatar. I look back with a stunned expression. At that very moment, a giant hand from within the darkness reaches across space towards me. Before I can even react, due to the spatial manipulation of the star-shattering stage, her hand reaches me, and I am struck rolling across one of the heaven tribe territories. Keyok. Drip, drip, drip. Blood flows from my 7 orifices. It heals quickly, but I realize just how immense the difference between the ghost guiding Holy Mother and me is, to the point where I can hardly even react. However, more than that, I stare at the enormous dark storm that is still approaching from afar. Kang Min-hee. Just a moment ago, when her hand struck me, I heard it clearly. Save me. It's a will that only I, who is of all 3 heaven tribe, earth tribe, and heart tribe, can hear. I should have run away as soon as I regained my senses. But I widen my eyes and, with a slightly dazed look, stare in the direction of Kang Min-hee. You. Once again, Kang Min-hee is annihilating one of the heaven tribe races as she approaches this place. In about 100 seconds, she will likely reach here. Kang Min-hee. I call out her name, my parched lips sticking together as I speak. Then a response comes from beside me. Ho, so that's the name of that being, Taoist CEO. Severing Mountain Swordsmanship. 20-second move. Without hesitation, I use Severing Mountain towards the voice I detest hearing. Chapter 419, Broken Ones 1. Wowoong. The technique that has evolved to the point of being able to raise an entire territory is the current Severing Mountain. Despite the immense power of this terrifying technique exploding at a single point, CEO Atrial reappears behind me, flashing that obnoxious smile. What is it now? I ask as I look at him. In the past, I would have been nervous, afraid of falling prey to his tainted soul filling the heavens, but now it no longer scares me as much as it once did. CEO Atrial seems to have realized this too, as I can feel him openly using tainted soul filling the heavens to brainwash me. It won't work anymore. Stop your pointless efforts and state your purpose. Ho, this is quite. You used to be such a nice person, but how you've changed. It's truly lamentable. His words make my eyes twitch. This too is just another attempt to test my resolve. But he isn't wrong. My heart is just a pile of ashes, my soul the charred remains. Why am I no longer afraid of CEO Atrial's tainted soul filling the heavens? Is it because I obtained the purple soul filling the heavens? Because I have the phenomena extinguishing mantra? Or because I gained the possibility of the second step before the throne? All those things are merely external factors. The truth is simple. Now, I too have become a broken human being, one that would never fall behind the likes of the Mad Lord and CEO Atrial. Shut up and just tell me why you're here, you blind leech. Belwoon. I swing my hand, slicing through the CEO Atrial before me. But even though he's cut down in one strike, his form seems to scatter in the air before reappearing elsewhere. A projection. No, it feels too real to be just a projection. The place where CEO Atrial has fallen still holds his corpse. However, I suddenly realize that something is off about the state of the body, and understand the principle behind how he is appearing around me like a ghost. The corpse is only anchored in the plane of Qi. Everything in this world exists across the three planes of Qi, soul, and fate. Even inanimate objects are no exception. The soil has its own spirit, mountains have their souls, and even stars have their essence. Even lifeless objects exist in the plane of soul, and as seen through the star vain eye, all things are also anchored in the plane of fate. However, I see in front of me the corpse of Coatl, composed solely of the flow of yin and yang in the plane of Qi. Oh hi Co, I see. Did she lend you her abilities to send this projection using her power? It's undoubtedly Oh hi Co's power. Coatl smiles faintly and says, as expected of Taoist Co, that's right, she helped me. If you were going to come, you should have brought Oh hi Co along. With her personality, she wouldn't have missed the chance to witness something as entertaining as this. Recalling the first time I was betrayed by Oh hi Co, she appears to be someone who chases after stimulation and excitement. Given that, in a situation like this, where the territory of the Heaven tribe is being destroyed by Kang Minhe, it wouldn't be surprising for her to come just to watch. Yet, I can't sense her presence anywhere within hundreds of thousands of li. Ho ho, it seems that after our last encounter, she's learned a bit about what fear is. Indeed, at this point, Oh hi Co witnessed the terrifying existence known as the Chief Judge. Even someone whose emotions are as unreadable as her must have found it difficult to bear the sight of such a transcendent being's power. Thanks to that, she's become quite dependent on me lately. We've become quite essential to each other. At Coatl's words, I recall the events 1,000 years in. She was called his madam. It seems she married Coatl after all. Back then, I thought she was brainwashed, but it appears that somehow fate has always intended for the two to be bound together. So what do you want? But such things are none of my concern. I growl, glaring at Coatl. Wriggle, wriggle. As my emotions flare up, something begins to writhe violently, as if trying to escape from the depths of my shadow. My heart demons seem to be manifesting through a curse, trying to flee from me. Ho ho, originally, she and I were merely in a relationship of mutual exploitation. We were constantly experimenting on each other, always ready to betray one another. But after my sight was sealed and her mind was scarred, we became necessary existences to each other and had to form an alliance. Do you understand, Taoist Co? His words make my eyes twitch. Those who have lost their blessings can band together to fill each other's voids. You, as much as me and old man Joe, have a broken heart. We can form an alliance that compensates for each other's deficiencies. I laugh as I look at Coatl. That almost sounds like you're admitting you have a heart. Haha, you didn't really think I have no heart at all, right? I read the will hidden behind Coatl's words. A heart is something that can be either present or absent, depending on necessity. It seems he is pretending to acknowledge his heart because he needs to persuade me now. In the past, I would have noticed this and simply dismissed it. Coatl is a monster without a heart, after all. But now, at the level I've reached, I can see something different. After tens of thousands of years, and having been broken down by unbearable pain, I understand something. Coatl, just perhaps, might be someone who desperately needs to deny the existence of a heart. A heart is undoubtedly something sacred and beautiful, but, at the same time, it can also bring about hellish torment. If he is as broken as I am, perhaps the reason he denies his heart is because he wants to escape this pain more than anyone else. As I perceive this essence of Coatl, I smile bitterly. I understand, so go ahead and wag your tongue, pitiful Coatl. I'll listen for just a moment. I speak in a tone laced with pity, sympathizing with him. And whatever part of Coatl this sympathy touched. He stops smirking and opens his eyes. His eyes are so dull and unfocused that it's impossible to tell what he is looking at. Though his emotionless gaze is eerie, I realize that sympathizing with him has hit him harder than any provocation I'd ever made. He stops smiling and seems to look in my direction for a moment. As expected, you're a higher being, Taoist Co. How far have you seen through? I've seen enough to understand that you're a somewhat pitiable being. That will make our conversation easier. Coatl turns his emotionless face towards Kang Minhe, who is flying towards us. At first, I thought it would be better to let that being run rampant and leave it be. But after witnessing its unexpected power, I've changed my mind. While some chaos is necessary for my goal, I don't need complete destruction. So, how about joining forces with me to expel it outside the bright cold realm? I ponder Coatrial's proposal. Normally, I would have dismissed any suggestion from Coatrial without a second thought, but this time is different. If we expel Kang Min-hee to the interdimensional void or the astral realm, there will be far fewer casualties. In truth, the heavenly domain is primarily composed of the astral realm. The middle realms are only considered as such because, as the sacred master said, they are the corpses of great beings, and they possess attraction force that influences the entire astral realm. The vastness of the middle realms can never be compared to the breadth of the astral realm, which is an endlessly expanding universe. The reason I was able to collect the shards of the colorless glass sword in the previous cycle was because it was a time shortly after the creation of the world. If it had been tens of thousands of years later, I would never have been able to find the colorless glass sword. In that sense, if we send Kang Min-hee into that infinitely vast astral realm or the interdimensional void with only vestiges, the casualties will be minimized. At the very least, sending her outside the bright cold realm will buy me time until I can challenge the star-shattering stage. It's a good idea, but as Kang Min-hee gradually approaches, I ask while fleeing. Coatrial, perhaps having merged with the dragon veins itself with the help of Ohisio, continues to project his form from the ground where the dragon veins are, maintaining conversation. How do you realistically expect to expel Kang Min-hee, who is at the star-shattering stage, from the bright cold realm? I will pull together with my wife in the astral realm. Taoist Sio will push from this side. Is Ohisio currently in the astral realm? I ask with a serious expression. She won't just quietly be expelled into the astral realm. You must have a plan, right? Yes, well, it wasn't what I desired, but a being capable of holding that being down when it struggles has somehow come into existence. No way. I look at Coatrial and let out a hollow laugh. I think I know what you're thinking. Yes, it's exactly that. You want to join forces with the Mad Lord Jo-yeon. I ask in disbelief. Indeed, at this point, the Mad Lord has two puppets beyond the integration level. She and the wonderfully mysterious fortress are exactly that. And through the connection between her and the wonderfully mysterious fortress, the Mad Lord can currently exert power at the quasi-star shattering level. Moreover, 1,000 years in, both she and the wonderfully mysterious fortress would individually rise to the quasi-star shattering level, meaning the Mad Lord would have two puppets at the quasi-star shattering stage by then. In terms of raw power, if I, Coatrial, and the Mad Lord join forces, expelling Kang Min-hee from the bright cold realm wouldn't be an empty boast. But the Mad Lord is not sane. How could anyone persuade such a person? Coatrial continues speaking. First, Taoist Sio, you know the name and ability of the secret art I use, don't you? Yes. My tainted soul filling the heavens cannot brainwash you or the Mad Lord. Both of you are madmen, so even if I infuse my configurations, it won't take root because your consciousnesses don't follow a normal flow. However, the inability to brainwash doesn't mean that my tainted soul filling the heavens cannot enter. What are you trying to say? Taoist Sio, you are a member of the Heart Tribe, correct? And your comrade is a disciple who has learned the Mad Lord's consciousness method. If you, I, my wife, and your comrade join forces, we can temporarily return the Mad Lord's consciousness to normal. If I, Kim Yeon, Ohisio, and Coatrial combine our strengths, we can temporarily restore the Mad Lord's consciousness to normal. Huh. It sounds suspicious. There's no guarantee that you won't brainwash the Mad Lord while his consciousness is temporarily restored, is there? Ho ho, you don't need to worry about that. I won't brainwash the Mad Lord. I can't do it anyway. I feel slightly reassured as I read the hidden meaning behind Coatrial's words. The Mad Lord's madness will likely recur thanks to the wonderfully mysterious fortress, even if it is temporarily reversed, so brainwashing him would be pointless for Coatrial. But then again, who knows? Coatrial is someone who might always be hiding something. How can I trust you? It's something I figured by analyzing the curse placed on me with my wife. The curse that the great being cast on my eyes extends its duration in real time according to my evil deeds. Initially, it was a mere 1,000 years, but now, it has increased to roughly 2 billion years. And I realized there's only one way to break this curse. The curse isn't on my main body but on my mask. In other words, if I erase all personalities other than my main body and start anew, I can break the curse. You're telling me this because it's related to that curse. That's right, Taoist CEO. Because of this curse, it's impossible for me to find my main body. The curse placed by that great being doesn't merely block my sight, it prevents me from ever finding my main body. I instinctively know that CEO Atrial is telling the truth. It isn't just because his actions and heart essence align. It's because he has never lied about matters related to his essence. As he continues speaking, my eyes glint. Therefore, I propose this, Taoist CEO. After we expel that being from the bright cold realm, help me find my main body. This is a chance to find CEO Atrial's main body. He returns his expressionless face to its usual self and gives a faint smile. Until we find my main body, I promise I will never betray you, Taoist CEO. Chapter 420, Broken Ones 2. Kagagugu. Kang Min-hee is chasing from behind, while a snake is flickering its tongue beside me, making a suspicious proposal. I look at CEO Atrial. I know this bastard well. No matter what the situation, a liar who only utters empty words. That is the nature of the person known as CEO Atrial. But I simply can't refuse information about CEO Atrial's main body, and the grace period I can gain by sending Kang Min-hee outside the bright cold realm. These are things that can't be ignored. They are too valuable to dismiss as mere scams. So that's why. The reason the Mad Lord always attacked CEO Atrial whenever he opened his mouth might be because even that Mad Lord could be swayed by CEO Atrial's intentions if he listens to CEO Atrial's proposals. I let out a groan, glaring at him. But since he is blind, there is no sort of battle of wills between us. After a moment of hesitation, I nod. Fine, I'll accept it for now. Thank you, Taoist. But there are conditions. I glare at CEO Atrial as I speak. According to your words, we need to work together to snap the Mad Lord back to his senses, right? During that process, you will stay out of my sight and act only remotely. If that bastard were to meet my comrades and brainwash them with his filthy tainted soul filling the heavens, I would be extremely furious. What if my comrades turn into copies of CEO Atrial? Grit. Just imagining it makes my teeth grind. I can't afford to lose any more comrades carelessly. If such a thing happens, I might lose control of my anger and lose my reason, leading me to do something even I can't predict. Maybe I might even lose my mind and start chanting the phenomena extinguishing mantra until the owner of Great Mountain descends. CEO Atrial smiles faintly and nods at my words. If it's necessary, I will comply. Don't worry. Until I find my main body, I have no choice but to rely on my madam and Taoist CEO. The fact that there are only two options from the beginning means that there's no trust between us. A highly suspicious and dubious alliance. But in the current situation, it's necessary. Fine, in that case, I will form a temporary alliance with you. Ho ho, thank you for your kindness, Taoist CEO. He smiles widely and bows, as if he is genuinely pleased. In any case, Alia. I frown as I watch Kang Min-hee, who is relentlessly chasing us. It seems we'll need to deal with the ghost guiding Holy Mother first before we can reach the Mad Lord. Any ideas? To expel Kang Min-hee from the realm, we need the Mad Lord's help. But to meet and persuade the Mad Lord, I, CEO Atrial, Kim Yon, and Oh Hai CEO will first have to separate from Kang Min-hee before combining our strengths. However, Kang Min-hee is chasing me like crazy. If this continues, we won't even be able to start the alliance, let alone anything else. It's highly likely that she senses the death aura emanating from my body and my quasi-star shattering level power, and is trying to capture me to turn me into a ghost king. Especially for a powerful ghostly being like her, my death aura would be extremely conspicuous. Unless I escape from the star-shattering stage site in one go, she will endlessly chase after me. Since things have come to this, I decide to test CEO Atrial's cunning and ask him for a strategy. He seems to smile faintly and then says, "There's a plan that will buy you enough time to meet up with your comrades. Would you like to hear it?" "Speak quickly. Head to Heaven Earth Palace." "You bastard." Understanding why he's implying, I glare at him. He continues with a faint smile. "Go to Heaven Earth Palace and lure that thing to the flying immortal platform. In other words, drop it under the void spirit pond. Since it seems to lack intelligence, it won't be too difficult. The vestiges of the interdimensional void react more strongly to beings with great auras, so at least 1 or 2 star-shattering level vestiges will pounce on that thing. Of course, the void spirit pond is an open door. a gaping hole, so it will quickly escape again, but the vestiges of the interdimensional void will buy you some time. Are you suggesting that I send everyone in Heaven-Earth Palace into the belly of the ghost-guiding Holy Mother? Hem. Coatl makes a contemplative expression before asking back. Isn't that rather a good thing? I understand you don't have a good relationship with the Heaven-Earth Palace Lord Hun One. Instead of getting swayed by Coatl's words, I shoot him a sharp glance. Stop wagging your sly tongue and help me out. With your skills and ambition, it's hard to believe you haven't already placed tainted soul filling the heavens on the living beings residing in the Heaven-Earth Central region. Use your ability to evacuate everyone there right now. Ho ho. Coatl chuckles at my words, raising one finger as he speaks. As expected, I can't outmatch Taoist CEO, but evacuating everyone is impossible. What nonsense is that now? Heaven-Earth Palace Lord Hun One. That person has something dangerous lurking within his consciousness, so I only let tainted soul filling the heavens flow into him but did not brainwash him. Hence, Taoist will need to convince him yourself. I recall Hun One. The name buried within Hun One, Chinra. Damn it. A sense of dread is already creeping in. I don't know exactly what that name means, but given my situation, even a child can understand that it's related to the owner of Great Mountain. It's possible that perhaps the immortal treasure of the mountain god is called Chinra. I hope to shove such a dangerous task to Coatl, but it seems I will have to face it myself. Fine. Cursing inwardly, I fly towards Heaven-Earth Palace with Coatl. Hun One makes me uneasy. From the character Chinese letter, supervision in his eye, to the great mountain-splitting emperor technique he has learned. Perhaps through him, the owner of Great Mountain is able to monitor me in real time. But that's all the more reason I need to know more about him. To find out about Hun One's current state, and to tie down Kang Min-hee according to Coatl's plan, I head towards Heaven-Earth Palace. Kagagugu. After flying for about half a day, the Heaven-Earth Central region comes into view in the distance. It's noticeably faster now. In the past, it would have taken several days at the speed of a grand cultivator to travel from the human race territory to the Heaven-Earth Central region. But now that I have reached the quasi-star shattering level, combining the ground shrinking technique, flying escape technique, gliding technique, and sword flight, I reached the Heaven-Earth Central region from the human race territory in just half a day. Of course, the same goes for Kang Min-hee. Kang Min-hee has been chasing me in a straight line, absorbing all the vengeful spirits from every race along the path, empowering herself, and making them her subordinates. Though she hasn't yet absorbed as many vengeful spirits as she did when she was in the human race territory, Kang Min-hee continued to steadily grow in size. Kagagugu. Is it just her size? Her speed is also increasing, albeit gradually. Glancing back at the dark storm chasing after me, I hurry even faster towards Heaven-Earth Palace. As a result of pushing myself like mad for half a day, aiming to reach Heaven-Earth Palace even a bit faster than Kang Min-hee, I managed to arrive at Heaven-Earth Palace slightly ahead of her. Now, in about 15 minutes, Kang Min-hee will arrive. The confrontation with Hun One has to be finished within this time. Swoosh. Perhaps because Coatl's tainted soul filling the heavens made everyone evacuate, Heaven-Earth Palace is quiet. However, at the center of Heaven-Earth Palace, I frowned, feeling a powerful presence. Despite Coatl's tainted soul filling the heavens persuading him, Hun One remained in place. Boing. Jiwang. At my gesture, a vast sword energy surges forth, tearing through the palace walls and rushing towards the area where Hun One resides. Kagagugu. As Heaven-Earth Palace crumbles, I look down at the place where Hun One's cultivation chamber is located. He is dressed the same as when I last met him. The same purple dragon robe, with hair sticking out messily from beneath his mansion, and his disheveled topknot, a worn and haggard appearance. But there is one difference from before. Suog. He looks up at me. Clicking my tongue, I gaze down at him. How did you end up in such a state, Heaven-Earth Palace Lord? Hun One's eyes have lost their former brightness. The once brightly shining Chinese letter, supervision, has completely lost its light, leaving only darkness. It likely has something to do with the owner of Great Mountain being captured by the light. It seems as though he lost his sight entirely, as his eyes failed to focus on me. However, even if beings at the integration stage lose their sight, they have a consciousness domain. While he appears to be looking at me with vacant eyes, he is aware of my presence. I don't know. My eyes suddenly lost their light not long ago. I don't know why. Haven't your subordinates told you? A terrifying ghostly entity will soon arrive at Heaven Earth Palace. However, Hun One chuckles and says, "What do you want me to do? If it's stronger than me, I'll die. If I'm stronger, then I'll capture it." They are someone you absolutely cannot capture. Quickly retreat. I don't want to. He sneers with gloomy eyes. In any case, the golden divine heavenly thunder sect that you and that Jin Myohoon one failed to properly protect. Ever since that sect vanished from the human race territory, to be honest, I haven't felt any reason to continue living. Yes, I've lived long enough. The grand cultivators at the grand perfection integration stage know this secretly, that in 10,000 years this world will meet its end. There's no reason to keep living anyway, and since everything will end in 10,000 years, what's the point of living longer? He turns his head and says, "I will sit here and recuperate in case a miracle happens and the disciples of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect manage to ascend. If all you came to say is to retreat, then get lost. I have no desire to face you." I look down at him for a moment. And then, who? I descend in front of Hun One. Listening to you is unbearable. I growl as I grab Hun One by the collar. Saying the golden divine heavenly thunder sect was annihilated, saying that it's because of me and Jian Myohoon, saying you feel there's no reason to live. You really know how to say the most irritating things. Would you not let go? We only have 15 minutes, but that should be enough. For the next 15 minutes, I will fix that completely rotten mentality of yours. Once you feel pain close to death, perhaps your will to survive will awaken. Puhuhu, a brat not even 10,000 years old. Do you even know what the pain of loss truly is? He sneers as he looks down at me. Born with good talent due to luck and reaching the integration stage within 500 years, it seems you're under a delusion. Do you think you're the protagonist of the world? Do you think you understand all the misfortunes of misfortunes and all the pains of pains in the world and dare to lecture me? Don't delude yourself. You're nothing more than a brat who hasn't even lived a tenth of what I've lived. The pain you've gone through isn't even worth a fingernail compared to what I've experienced. Kuguk tuguguguguk. Gradually, Hun One's weight begins to increase. The momentum of the one I am holding begins to rise. Let go of me and get lost. Whether I live or die is my own concern. You should have lost your tongue, not your eyes. I glare at Hun One with a piercing gaze and let go of his collar. I've slightly changed my mind. You will truly experience a pain so severe that even death will seem merciful. You brat, thinking my power from back then, when my body was in poor condition, is my true power. Hun One draws forth the great mountain-splitting emperor technique and reaches out to me. The next moment, I literally shatter his great mountain-splitting emperor technique and grab his face, slamming him down. The entire Heaven-Earth Palace turns into rubble in a single blow. Chapter 421, Broken Ones 3. Kagagugugu. The entire Heaven-Earth Palace shatters, and the surrounding flying immortal platforms simultaneously crumble. Beneath the flying immortal platforms, the void spirit ponds begin to reveal their subtle forms. It's a scene reminiscent of Hun One used the great mountain-splitting emperor technique nearby. However, there is one key difference. Hun One used the divine power of the great mountain-splitting emperor technique, while I simply grabbed Hun One by the face and slammed him down. "You bastard!" He growls, beginning to gather power. Spatial waves reverberate from within his body, and gradually, his size starts to swell. Hun One reveals his true form. Due to the mass, I'm momentarily pushed back, rising into the sky. Kagagugugu. In the next instant, he becomes a mountain. Rocks, soil, and trees sprout from his body. Streams and creeks emerge from his form, with veins of minerals buried in its depths. Deeper within, lava bubbles up as a colossal mountain soars. The mountain imbued with the 5 elements transforms into a giant, glaring at me. This mountain giant is Hun One's true form. Integrated Tao domain. Great mountain, great dust, chariot-tearing wind bird. Chinese letter, 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 Chinese letter. TL/N. Chariot-tearing chariot dismemberment is also known as dismemberment by 5 horses, an ancient Chinese death penalty where a person's 4 limbs and neck are tied to chariots' horses and pulled apart. Kagagugu. His body transforms into a domain, and at the same time, his domain begins to engulf the surroundings. Hunwon's domain is a desolate island. Within his domain, countless islands float in the void. In that void, countless dust storms rage, turning into sharp blade winds that shred everything excluding Hunwon. Rising from the center of these dust-bladed gales, the mountain giant exudes a fierce momentum towards me. Let's settle the score that we couldn't before, Seo Yun Hyan. If you want to deal with me, you'll have to step over my corpse. And in the next moment, Quackagagwing. With a single strike, Hunwon's upper body explodes and is sent flying, while the shockwave from my punch obliterates his entire domain in an instant. You seem to be under some kind of delusion. I glare at Hunwon, my eyes blazing, as I move at an extremely high speed. You won't last even 10 moves against me now, Hunwon. Without revealing my true form or drawing the colorless glass sword or my domain, I simply let the 3 great ultimates float behind me. That was the first move. Boing. I move above Hunwon's head, bend my legs, and then forcefully stomp down, smashing into his regenerating stomach. Rumble. Second move. Hunwon's body is completely pierced through, and the shockwave from the impact slices through various parts of the domain. He uses the flying escape technique and unleashes the full power of heaven and earth dual cultivation within the light to counter me. Our bodies collide. Third, fourth. After 2 clashes, both of Hunwon's fists are severed, and his upper body is once again greatly slashed. The way to subdue those in the integration stage is to smash their domain to pieces. For the Heaven tribe, you destroy the domain. For the Earth tribe, you destroy the domain and the body that is fused with it, and the grand cultivator dies. But what about Heaven and Earth dual cultivation? How troublesome. In the case of these guys, even if you slice through their domain regenerates as long as their body remains. If you cut through their body, as long as the domain is intact, they resurrect. Both the domain fused with the body and the manifested domain have to be eliminated simultaneously. Quite a hassle. But that's all there is to it. 5th, 6th, 7th. With the first strike his domain, with the second his body, with the third I attack his soul and subdue him completely. You bastard! However, perhaps not a complete waste even if wrought. The bastard quickly covers the entire surrounding area with the barrier of yin-yang and 5 elements. His will is to blast the area around him with the great mountain-splitting emperor technique. But it's useless. I grip a black banner in my hand. Wriggle gurgle. This isn't just any banner. From the shadows of the banner's reverse side, pitch black, eye-like things squirm and terrifying entities within seem desperate to escape. Wriggle, wriggle. The object in my hand continuously squirms, trying to grow. If I plant this, he'll probably die. The Yin Soul Ghost incantation, which instinctively expresses my rotting, decayed insides, has long since surpassed its limits. Pain and agony so condensed that even my heart demons wail for escape. That is the current Yin Soul Ghost incantation. If I stab Hunwon with this, no matter how strong an integration grand cultivator he is, it's certain he will fall into madness with his soul evaporating. I dare say, even sacred Master Beak Woon wouldn't remain sane if hit directly by this. Let's tone it down a bit. TSD. After draining a significant amount of venom from the banner, I plunge the now hollowed black ghost curse banner straight into Hunwon's chest. Poke. And that's the end of it. Though Hunwon, who intended to detonate the area with the great mountain-splitting emperor technique, starts trembling violently, unable to even scream. As his focus scatters, his domain disintegrates, and he returns to his human form. Shoo. Fearing that leaving the black ghost curse banner in him any longer would drive Hunwon mad, I disperse it. However, the phantom pain seems to linger, tormenting him as he foams at the mouth, tears of blood streaming from his eyes. Peg peg. I slap Hunwon's cheek. 8th, 9th. Payek. 10th move. Kahyak gugugyo iog. Only then does Hunwon come to his senses and groan in pain. I look down at him and chuckle softly. 10 moves, do you understand? That's already the difference between you and me. I look down at him. He clenches his teeth and speaks. What's with this bullshit, you bastard? You don't even like me. Whether I live or die, what does that have to do with you? Did my provocation irritate you? Are you acting like this because something scratched your nerves? Just why won't you leave me alone? Why? I quietly look down at his outburst. After raging for 5 seconds, he exhales and begins to speak. Do you think I didn't want to live with hopes and dreams like everyone else? I wanted to have something called hope in my life too, but after witnessing my lover being devoured alive, I had no idea what to do anymore. Even if I live, I'm not truly alive. So why are you doing this to me? I don't intend to argue with someone like you either. Whether you live or die isn't my concern, and I'd be glad if you did die. I'm well aware it's pointless to keep telling people who want to die to live thousands of times over. Then why? The part that enrages me is your irresponsibility. I gaze down at him with eyes as cold as ice and spit out my words as if I'm chewing them. Aren't you a father? Even if they were born from concubines, how many children do you have? How many people follow you? A man burdened with the weight of a group on his shoulders shouldn't irresponsibly and meaninglessly abandon everything just because he's in pain. Bang! I stomp on Hunwon's chest. He coughs up blood. Knowing he would regenerate anyway, I mercilessly stomp on him again and again, grinding my teeth. And as I speak those words, I begin to understand why I am suddenly so angry with Hunwon. No matter how much he said things that deserved my anger, and no matter how much he provoked me, the reason why my rage surged and driven me to torture him so suddenly. Perhaps it's because I see myself reflected in this bastard. When he mentioned the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, what came to my mind was Yonwei. Yonwei and Hunwon, and the inner emotions of Yonwei that I saw in Pinglai Island. She claims to hate Hunwon with her words, but deep inside, there is still a longing for him. And when I remembered that, someone else came to mind. Hunwei, who spent her entire life desperately seeking Hunwon's attention, and her siblings. Hunwon's children, the disciples of Pinglai Palace who follow him. Even if Hunwon himself doesn't realize it, he is someone who is loved. He is someone who is noticed, revered, and respected. And in him, I see a reflection of myself. The one I am trampling on is not just Hunwon. Perhaps I am taking out my anger on him because I am reminded of my past self, someone who was loved and revered by countless people, but failed to protect that. Move, for the sake of those who care about you, even if the end is inevitable, don't give up. I direct my anger towards both Hunwon and myself. He remains silent, and I, seeing that he still seems listless, toss him a suggestion. It's not perfect, but if you really want it, there's a way for you to see the face of the person you loved. Get up and at least just help. No. At my words, his eyes change, and he suddenly grabs my shoulder. WWH, what do you mean? There's something called the wonderfully mysterious fortress that can be used. Get your hand off my shoulder. I'll explain later. I push Hunwon away and look at Kang Minhee, who is now almost within reach. Coh Real. Ho, to what do I owe the pleasure, Taoist Co? Take this guy and fly to the skies above the bright cold realm. I understand what you mean. He approaches Hunwon, coaxing and calming him as they both fly up into the sky above the bright cold realm according to my request. And I wait for Kang Minhee on the now completely ruined flying immortal platform, where the original form of the void spirit pond is fully exposed. Kagagagugugu. Ghostly wails fill heaven and earth as she finally arrives at this place. Deep darkness. Crackle, crackle. Within that deep darkness, I immediately identify Kang Minhee's location. Compared to the darkness I saw when the oldest one was chasing me during that regression process, the darkness surrounding her is quite distinguishable. Kiyaving. After charging up a single strike in the All-Heaven Sword, I launch it directly at Kang Minhee. Flash. The All-Heaven Sword, transformed into a thin line, shoots towards Kang Minhee at the speed of light, and just before reaching her, it strikes something like a barrier. As expected, I can't penetrate it in one go. She stops and stares at me intently. I meet her gaze and smile faintly. Payet. The All-Heaven Sword, lodged in front of her, begins to shine and transforms into a seated detachment, standing Oblivion Avatar. Through the standing Oblivion Avatar, I launch another single strike at her once again, right in front of her face. The avatar, lacking energy, morphs into a gang sphere. Kuaguangwang. Her upper body explodes, and in that brief moment when she can't regain her senses, Hunwon, who rose up with Coh Real, covers the entire area with the barrier of yin-yang and 5 elements at Coatrial's command. Is this how it was done? I clasp my hands together and focus my consciousness, silently reciting the formula of the twisted mantra without connecting with them. Through attraction force, I simultaneously start to use the mantra that they taught me. The location where the standing oblivion avatar struck Kang Min-hee. The gang sphere clone that remains there. Centered around that gang sphere clone, the barrier of yin-yang and 5 elements begins to close in. Though it's far from being a true immortal art, its form is close enough. Phenomena extinguishing mantra. Kagagagugu. The barrier of yin-yang and 5 elements that covers the area begins to constrict around the gang sphere before Kang Min-hee. Though the mantra is twisted, its effectiveness is undeniable. The density of heaven and earth spiritual energy within the barrier begins to increase, filling the surroundings with light. Elia. Kang Min-hee lets out a ghostly wail, attempting to shatter this prison that has now turned into a prison of light, but it's futile. No matter how powerful she is, even she can't break the barrier that was created by enduring my disgust to combine strengths with Hunwon. Before long, the barrier gradually shrinks smaller and smaller until it's narrower than the range I occupy, finally forming a sphere that imprisons only Kang Min-hee. Of course, that's the limit. I can't make it as smaller than dust, like what I saw back then. This is my own limitation. Weighing. Before the phenomena extinguishing mantra sphere can dissolve, I immediately summon the 3 great ultimates and charge in, forcefully smashing the sphere containing Kang Min-hee down towards the void spirit pond. Kugwagwagwagwang. A tremendous resistance is felt from within. It feels like she's about to burst out in an instant, but she's an instant too late. She has already been expelled through the void spirit pond. Of course, it's impossible to block the void spirit pond, so she will eventually return. But for at least a month, she shouldn't be able to climb back up, dealing with the vestiges of the interdimensional void. See you later, Kang Min-hee. I look down, trying to calm the goosebumps that have risen from my disgust. I really didn't want to use it. Even though the twisted phenomena extinguishing mantra doesn't form an attraction force with the owner of Great Mountain, it still touches upon my most painful memories. But there was no other choice. Just as I shouted at Hunwon just moments ago, with Pinglai Palace weighing on his shoulders. Now I have my remaining comrades weighing on mine. I had to stop Kang Min-hee, no matter what. If it's just my own disgust that's the problem, I'll ignore it as many times as necessary. No matter how agonizing and painful the memory is, I will bring it out and use it. If that is the means to protect the deceased followers of the Wuji religious order, and to protect the comrades who are still alive. Splendid Taoist CEO. Shut up. I glare at Coatrial and Hunwon as they descend from the sky. From now on, we're going to regroup with my comrades and head to the Mad Lord. In the meantime, explain in detail the method you mentioned to bring the Mad Lord back to his senses. Understood, I'll explain as we go first. And so, after temporarily driving away Kang Min-hee, we set off toward the Mad Lord Jo Yeon. Chapter 422, What Does a Person Live for 1? Will. Moving quickly across the bright cold realm, I connect my consciousness with Kim Yeon. Since Kim Yeon and I are linked through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, it's possible to communicate in the case of an emergency. What's the current situation? Through her consciousness, I receive an explanation that the Nether Crossing ship is gathering power to perform a dimensional leap into the Heart Tribe territory. To safely perform a dimensional leap to the Chaos Realm region, even the power source of the Nether Crossing ship, which possesses near-limitless power, needs some time to accumulate energy. Though it's called the Chaos Realm, it's essentially a different dimension, completely distinct from the stable realm within the bright cold realm. Beyond being desolate, the further one moves away from the stable realm, the more constant the spatial storms become, and terrifying celestial phenomena start to occur frequently. That is the Chaos Realm. The Heart Tribe territory lies deep within this Chaos Realm region, which is why their main stronghold has not yet been eradicated. It's no wonder that the 2 cultivators from the Heaven Tribe were angered when Jo Yeon mentioned that there was something they desired within the Heart Tribe territory. It isn't just the issue of encountering a master from the Heart Tribe. It's also the fact that it takes an enormous amount of time just to reach that location. Since it's come to this, I might as well use the power of the Nether Crossing ship and push Kang Min-hee into the astral realm with the Mad Lord. The Mad Lord will surely know how to draw out even more of the nether-crossing ship's power. Where is Mad Lord currently? I asked Cohreal. Through tainted soul filling the heavens, he would know Mad Lord's location more accurately than I would. It seems he's currently waiting in the eastern part of the Earth Tribe territory, gathering materials. The eastern part of the Earth Tribe territory. The Earth Tribe territory is largely divided into East and West. In the West is the main headquarters of the True Dragon Alliance, where the corpse of lofty Dragon True Person lies. In the East is an endless wilderness, largely undeveloped, where all sorts of demon beasts live freely. It's my first time going to the wilderness region. Even if I ask Cohreal to guide me, the guy's blind right now, so while he can pinpoint the Mad Lord's location, proper guidance is impossible. I glance backwards. There Hunwan is following me with eyes wide open. Look here, Hunwan. Have you ever been to the wilderness in the eastern part of Earth Tribe territory? I have. Then lead the way, we're heading there soon. Why do you want to go there? There's someone we need to persuade there. He furrows his brows and says, if you need me to guide you, it's probably better not to go. What do you mean by that now? That old Kurlug. Hunwan tries to speak, but instead coughs up a handful of blood. Damn, now that I've left Heaven Earth Palace, the seizures have begun. It's the yin seizing, yang suppressing, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, secret art of the Taiji quaking lightning body. It's a curse that forces the yin energy to deviate from its path and forcibly suppresses the yang energy to cause an explosion. Jin Wei, that evil thing, cast that curse on me 40,000 years ago using the divine artifact, calendar calculations, from the Yin Soul Ghost sect. As a result, I've been suffering from this curse for 40,000 long years, while Jin Wei's advancement to the integration stage was blocked, and the divine artifact was sent flying into a distant alternate dimension. As I watch Hunwan speak, I suddenly ask him a question. Hunwan, to Yon Wei, do you have any thoughts about Jin Wei? He furrows his brows and responds. What thoughts should I have? It was just a political marriage from the start. I had no feelings for it. The only one I gave my heart to was her. His eyes become distant, as if recalling something. Do you not have any memories of receiving something from Jin Wei? He snorts at my question. From that thing. I remember the venomous words like saying Chinra is not real, to not cling to illusions like a fool, and having my eyes gouged out. He grinds his teeth, his eyes a sharp piercing glare. That thing has always taken something from me. My Chinra, my cultivation, my eyes. You ask if I got anything. I received nothing but pain. I observe Hunwan for a moment. His emotions aren't lying. He genuinely only has bad memories of Yon Wei. However, I find it strange. No matter what, before the entity called Chinra appeared, Yon Wei was incredibly devoted to Hunwan. Even when she caused so much chaos in the ancient force realm, at least half of it was for Hunwan's sake when I asked her later. And yet he only has bad memories of Yon Wei. What does that imply? His memories have been completely distorted. That's right. Currently, due to the influence of Chinra, his memories have become significantly warped and twisted. I've already seen people from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect being brainwashed for years by Jingli, obsessing over banners, and I even have memories of myself being brainwashed by Yong Seung. Hence, the possibility that Hunwan has been entangled with a being of at least true immortal rank and brainwashed is entirely plausible. At the beginning of the 19th cycle, the power and aura I felt from the name Chinra within Hunwan were chillingly similar to that of the owner of Great Mountain. There are some differences, but Hunwan might have been living his entire life as a puppet under the control of the owner of Great Mountain. I wonder if Hunwan's mind will ever be healed. Will he ever be able to escape from the clutches of that tyrannical and arrogant being? I silently hope that, at least for Yon Wei's sake, Hunwan can be cured someday. With that, I end the conversation and quickly fly on. Wu-Wuang. Kagagugu. In just half a day, I arrive at the wilderness region within the Earth Tribe territory. Now that all my comrades have gathered, let's go to the Mad Lord. I tell Hunwan to guide us, and he leads us toward the wilderness region. Cohreal, seemingly puzzled, asks me a question. By the way, Taoist CEO, didn't you say we would be joining up with your comrades? He looks around. I don't detect any of your comrades in my consciousness. We've met up. You don't need to know the details, so just explain in more detail how we're going to awaken the Mad Lord's mind. As we move, I take the time to link my consciousness even more closely with Kim Yeon. Through her wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, Kim Yeon connected her consciousness with the other comrades. As a result, although our bodies are apart, it's as if we are all moving together in the plane of soul. If necessary, I can even use the power of the All-Heaven Sword to summon the strength of my comrades here. Ho ho, well, if Taoist says so, then let me explain in more detail. First, we will enter the Mad Lord's mind through his wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. Afterwards, using my Madam's ability, we'll retrieve the Mad Lord's past memories. Finally, with my tainted soul filling the heavens, I'll paint over a specific scene from the Mad Lord's past memories, which will temporarily bring him back to his senses. Of course, it will only be for a short while. What do I need to do? All you need to do, Taoist CEO, is hold on to the Mad Lord while we enter his mind. Got it. I nod and accept his suggestion. Shortly after, in the distance, a familiar fortress begins to appear. Ho ho. Now then, as planned, Taoist Hun will deal with the puppets of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Taoist Sio will handle her, and the Mad Lord and my madam and I, along with your comrade, will infiltrate the Mad Lord's mind. But before Sio Atrial can finish his sentence, a massive beam of light shoots towards us from the wonderfully mysterious fortress. I open my eyes wide as I see the beam and reach out my hand to deflect it. Kugwagwagwang. I furrow my brow as I look at my hand. It's tingling. This power is definitely something I have experienced before. A power similar to that of Yuk Rin, the dragon race's breath. Dragon wave. With a hardened expression, I gaze at the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Kagugugu. Countless puppets begin to emerge from the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Among them, I notice two particularly powerful presences that make me tense up. Who do we have here? Isn't this our Scorpion Snake King? For what reason has the great Scorpion Snake King descended before me? And who's this beside you? Isn't this the kidnapper who took our cute little disciple? Behind the two puppets, the Mad Lord emerges. Co Atrial, standing next to her, has a slightly dumbfounded expression as he sees another puppet emitting an aura similar to her. What the ho, old man for now. All right, you CO fellows, I'll make both of you into General CO. I'm thinking of making a puppet with two heads, one with a CO fellow on the left and another with a CO fellow embedded on the right. Wouldn't that be something? He laughs maniacally as he returns to the wonderfully mysterious fortress, and the two puppets with exceptionally powerful auras begin to move. One is the her that we all know well, and the other is the Black Dragon King Hyun-eum. This is clearly the same monster that once fused with the extremities of an esteemed one's body, demonstrating abilities close to those of immortal arts. There is a high probability that he is also connected in some way to the blood yin realm. The human form Hyun-eum, upon receiving a command from the wonderfully mysterious fortress, instantly releases its compressed body and transforms into a dragon form puppet. The Mad Lord's excited voice echoes. Yes, I've decided. Once I capture the CO fellows, I'll combine them with the Black Lord and create a great three-headed General CO with the ability to transform into a giant dragon. Clink. Puppet Hyun-eum's mouth opens, unleashing an overwhelming amount of yin energy from within. Flash. Once again, its dragon wave flies towards me, and I grip my teeth as I deflect it once more. Tingle, tingle. The power has gotten stronger. Hey, CO Atrial, was this Hyun-eum fellow always so weak that he could be captured by the Mad Lord? Recalling the time when Hyun-eum fused with an esteemed one of the blood yin realm, I ask CO Atrial. He shakes his head and replies. It seems he abandoned his shell and escaped. Anyway, being able to revive in the body of another dragon race with even superior attributes as long as his information is intact, that is the one known as Hyun-eum. Something about that statement clicks in my mind. Revive with even better attributes. As time passes, the secret art that gradually grows stronger and more superior as it progresses from cultivator to cultivator. Purple soul filling the heavens. As expected, would Hyun-eum also be practicing it? It seems likely he escaped using purple soul filling the heavens after failing to fight off the Mad Lord. But CO Atrial, this guy. I glance at Cohreal and ponder. He's smiling, but his expression is unusually shaky. I sense wariness from the trembling he displayed. Is he wary of the Mad Lord? No, it's different. This is more like. Then suddenly, as I strike down the approaching puppet Hyun, I realize what Cohreal is wary of. I see. The formula for purple soul filling the heavens is still there inside puppet Hyun. I don't know if it was left by the Mad Lord or left by Hyun, but it's clear that Cohreal is wary of purple soul filling the heavens. Only now do I understand why the Mad Lord suddenly decided to capture and modify Hyun in this life. It's because of the information I gave the Mad Lord, the information about Cohreal's tainted soul filling the heavens. The Mad Lord, likely in his search for a way to counter Cohreal's tainted soul filling the heavens, encountered Hyun, sensed the purple soul filling the heavens within him, and believed it's the method to oppose Cohreal's tainted soul filling the heavens. As a result, he modified Hyun into his puppet and confidently brought him out in front of Cohreal, with the intention of merging Cohreal with Hyun. No, his plan to modify Cohreal and I into a great three-headed General Co might just be a matter of personal taste. In any case, I examined puppet Hyun with bright eyes. Against Cohreal, purple soul filling the heavens might unexpectedly prove effective. On the day the alliance is broken, that will be the day when I force purple soul filling the heavens under Cohreal's throat. As I face off against the puppet Hyun, I suppress the all-heaven sword's sharp energy and strike its head with a heavy blow. Quagwigwowing. Under the power of the three great ultimates, puppet Hyun is driven straight into the ground. Fortunately, the level of the controller is low. I look at Hyun and her. The liquid flowing inside him. It's the black water that resided in Hyun's domain, and in her heart is the power source of the Nether crossing ship. The black seawater and the power source resonate with each other, gradually increasing in power. If the fight would stall for longer, or if the Mad Lord's cultivation realm were higher, making him more adept at controlling the two puppets, I might have faced a much tougher battle. Payet. In the blink of an eye, I leap over her and infiltrate the wonderfully mysterious fortress, grabbing the Mad Lord by the head. The Mad Lord's expression twists in rage, but I swiftly use the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon to link my consciousness with Kim Yeon's, and combining our strengths, Kim Yeon and I infiltrate the Mad Lord's consciousness. Your turn, Cohreal. I take measures to prevent Cohreal from invading Kim Yeon's consciousness and connect his consciousness with mine using the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. Ho ho, well then, let's temporarily erase the most terrifying memory that serves as the cause of the Mad Lord's madness. TSS. He connects to the Mad Lord's consciousness through mine. Beyond Cohreal, I can sense the aura of Ohio through the tainted soul filling the heavens. Sereg. The sound of pages flipping in reverse. Finally, Cohreal, Kim Yeon, Ohio, and I enter the memories of the Mad Lord. Translator notes, starting from tomorrow, and if no problems occur after today's testing, we will be releasing a subscription option for artists. Make sure to check it out before habitually purchasing a chapter. Chapter 423, What Does a Person Live for 2? Chuerara. With Kim Yeon and my abilities, we connect to the Mad Lord's consciousness and, using Ohio's power, call forth his past memories from within. Cohreal seems to know exactly which memory is the most painful for the Mad Lord, as he quickly flies through his memories to that point. After a while, we find ourselves confronted with a certain scene. Yes, there is a next time. Let's wait until then. A dark secret room. Yes, it seems to be deep within a cave residence. This isn't the first time I've seen someone's memories. Occasionally, while placing a seated detachment, standing oblivion single strike into others, I've glimpsed fragments of their memories. For instance, even when I implanted the all-heaven sword into the Mad Lord's heart essence during the 19th cycle, I caught a very brief glimpse of his memories. It was also then that Cohreal slyly hinted at some information about his tainted soul filling the heavens. In any case, when peeking into someone's memories, in the case of mortals, the memory perspective is mostly in first person. However, in the case of cultivators, due to their consciousness domains, their memories are composed of everything perceived within it. Thus, the memories of cultivators are predominantly in the observer perspective. To be precise, the memories of cultivators are a mixture of first-person and third-person perspectives. Therefore, in the Mad Lord's memories, I am able to observe what he was doing as I peek into his recollections. Definitely, next time I will definitely be with her. In his youth, the Mad Lord, bearing a six-colored pattern on his face, makes such a vow, swallowing an unidentified pill and closing his eyes to focus on his cultivation. As he practices for a while after taking the pill, two patterns on his face, which were partially merged, completely unite into one. Now, only 5 colored patterns remain on the Mad Lord's face. He mutters with shining eyes, "Wait for me, dear. I will definitely come for you, to grow old together to be with each other for 100 years, because that is what we promised." The heart of the Mad Lord who made this vow is so beautiful and dreamlike. And as I observe this scene within the Mad Lord's memories, Coatrial's consciousness appears beside me. Ho-ho, though I guided it with my own hands, the Zhou clan, including Zhou Yon, always exceeded my expectations. Now then, I shall cover up the memory that Mad Lord Zhou Yon despises the most. Splash gurgle. As he says this, Coatrial's consciousness transforms into something resembling black liquid, beginning to fill the scene within Zhou Yon's consciousness. Chuerarara. The black darkness of his tainted soul, filling the heavens, engulfs Zhou Yon's memories. I realize that the surroundings have turned pitch black, so I protect my and Kim Yon's consciousness. Just then, flash, Coatrial, Kim Yon, Ohaisio, and I are all violently ejected from the Mad Lord's mind by a powerful resistance. This. I flinch in surprise as I identify the formula that is pushing us away. This is definitely the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. Payet. When I regain my composure, I find myself standing in front of the Mad Lord, fully conscious. And the moment I see the look in his eyes, I immediately know. The Mad Lord has regained his senses. But at the same time, I know something is wrong. Remove this hand. Though the madness has clearly subsided, his eyes are heavily bloodshot, and a thick murderous intent is seeping from his entire body. I release my grip on the Mad Lord and take a step back. He glances at me briefly before glaring at Coatrial's projection behind me. Elder Zhou Yon, the bright cold realm is currently. The next moment, without even listening to us, the Mad Lord immediately manipulates the wonderfully mysterious fortress and detonates Coatrial's body. Whoosh! He turns his head to glare at me and speaks. Did you join hands with Coatrial? It's a temporary alliance for now. Then die. In the next instant, the Mad Lord's her and puppet Hyun Eum lunge at me. Kyojujujuduk. Damn it. Though he's regained his senses, it seems he's become even more ferocious and filled with killing intent. I glance at the Mad Lord. His consciousness, previously a chaotic mix of colors, is now solely aflame with blood red and dark crimson. The current Mad Lord is overflowing with hatred and animosity towards the world. This is the first time I've seen the Mad Lord like this. Whenever I brought the Mad Lord back to his senses in the past, he was always a calm and benevolent elder. I vaguely assumed that the same Mad Lord would return this time as well, but what emerged is a completely different being. When you kidnapped my disciple last time, didn't you hint at tainted soul filling the heavens with that heart tribe single strike or whatever? But now you've come here after joining hands with Coatrial. Have you already been eroded by that bastard? That would never be the case, old man Zhou Yon. Then just why? Kuang. Blocking the attacks from puppet Hyun Eum and her, I take a heavy step towards the Mad Lord. Look. I lay bare my heart essence to the Mad Lord without holding back. Upon seeing it, the Mad Lord seems to flinch in surprise. With the entering heaven's sight granted by the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, my heart essence must appear like a hellish inferno to him. The elder's pain and suffering. Drip, drip. As I recall that moment again, black tears naturally flow from my eyes. I don't entirely fail to understand it. No matter how powerful tainted soul filling the heavens may be, it cannot erode someone who is already broken like us. Isn't that right, Elder Zhou Yon? At my words and the sight of my heart essence, the Mad Lord stares at my eyes for a moment, then rubs his head and flicks his fingers. His wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon trembles, causing her and Black Lord to be detached from my body. It seems Coatrial temporarily broke one of the memories I hold most dear, Thanks to the absence of that information, I've regained some clarity, but that doesn't mean the emotions tied to those memories have vanished. I, I still can't control this raging anger. I'll listen to what you have to say out of respect for your sincerity and my disciple, but don't provoke me. Right now, I'm like a bomb ready to explode at any moment. I begin to explain as I look at Jo Yeon, who has intent as red as Jeon Myung-hoon. First of all, a disaster has descended upon the bright cold realm. Because of that, the human race had to be driven out of their own territory. I briefly explain the situation, starting with how the human race lost their homeland. The Mad Lord listens to my story, then stares at me with bloodshot eyes and asks, "So, you want to expel a star-shattering stage monster outside the world? The one pulling from outside will be Co Atrial, the one pushing will be you, and I'll be keeping it busy for a while, is that it?" "That's correct." The Mad Lord glares at me with a displeased look and asks, "Why should I do that?" "That's because." And then it happens. TS. Beside me, Kim Yeon, who is connected to me through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, appears. She created a gang sphere clone and overlaid it with an illusion to send a projection next to me. She was originally struggling at the 5 energies converging to the origin stage, but after obtaining a demon core of the Earth tribe, she linked it with her inner core, formed a gang sphere, and quickly reached ultimate pinnacle. The reason is, you owe me something. Kim Yeon's projection speaks confidently as she looks at the Mad Lord. At her words, the Mad Lord smirks and says, "Oh ho, it seems you've done well the homework I assigned you. Yes, I have fully deciphered everything, so please help out the disciple who has inherited your teachings." However, the Mad Lord snorts. "You're saying something laughable, my disciple. If you had fully deciphered the magic artifact I made for you, you should have already mastered the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. But it seems you haven't. The reason is obvious. You must have received help from someone, right?" At his words, Kim Yeon nods. "That's right. I received help from someone with the same extraordinary pattern law talent as you." The Mad Lord's eyes widen. Received help from someone with the extraordinary pattern law talent. Could it be that the filthy bloodline of the Jo clan still continues to this day? Bajuduk. He grinds his teeth and mutters, "It makes my skin crawl, truly disgusting, the grudge with that clan." I slightly furrow my brows as I look at the Mad Lord. Judging by the intense emotions boiling within him, it seems he's about to go after Buk Hyung-hwa to kill her. But in the next moment, "So what are you going to do?" Kim Yeon turns the question back to the Mad Lord. "You really think you can do anything to the person I'm protecting?" The Mad Lord glares at Kim Yeon for a moment. Then he closes his eyes. "Fine. Whether or not you received help from someone with the extraordinary pattern law talent, you must have heard my message, so you should know what I want. Yes, and I know that I am the only one who can fulfill your wish." "Yes, that's correct. But, for you to fulfill my wish, that level of mastery in the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon won't do. It's regrettable that you used a shortcut to decipher my task and failed to properly advance your realm." The Mad Lord's bloodshot eyes are fixed on Kim Yeon. "This time I will help you, but the next time you appear, you must have grown enough to fulfill my wish." "Understood." Kim Yeon nods, and the Mad Lord's killing intent eases slightly at her response. "All right, I understand. Now take me to that so-called ghost guiding Holy Mother or whatever. However, make sure to not bring that Co Atrial bastard in front of me. I'll definitely lose my mind if I see him." Thud. The Mad Lord sends a lump of energy, condensed with the formula of the wonderfully mysterious, innate heart cannon towards Kim Yeon's projection. It seems to be a formula containing insights into the wonderfully mysterious, innate heart cannon. Kim Yeon absorbs the massive formula, and I send a voice transmission to Co Atrial, who is observing the wonderfully mysterious fortress from a distance. "You follow from a distance. The Mad Lord doesn't want to see you." When I send him this heart message, he nods. "Understood. In that case, Taoist CEO, please bring the Mad Lord. I will prepare to pull with my madam from the astral realm." TS. After finishing his words, Co Atrial completely vanishes from the spot, leaving no trace behind. Kagagugu. The wonderfully mysterious fortress takes to the sky. "Where do we need to go?" "Please head towards Heaven Earth Palace for now, the place where the flying immortal platform was when we first ascended." "Got it." Despite being engulfed in anger and pain, the Mad Lord has regained his senses to some extent and follows my lead as I guide him. Kim Yon, since the Mad Lord has regained his senses now, withdraw your consciousness. However, Kim Yon looks at me with a troubled expression and sends me a heart message through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. As I listen to her, I get a headache and frown. Just ignore it for now. This isn't the time for an argument. Just then, Pajik Pajijik. W8 Grandmother Yon, you shouldn't. Quajijik. A bolt of lightning shoots through Kim Yon's consciousness, causing her projection to transform into something familiar to me. It's the projection of Yonwei. As expected of an old monster who has lived for 40,000 years, she seems to have mastered a secret art that interferes with another's consciousness and alters their projection. Xiao Yunhayan. Clench. Yonwei's projection grabs me by the collar the moment she appears. Just what have you done? The 4 disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, just where did they go? Just how much more must you take from me to be satisfied? Huh? She clings to me, her voice trembling with anger and sorrow, and grinds her teeth as if on the verge of tears. How much longer will you only take from us? Chapter 424. What does a person live for 3? Gazes focus on me. I can feel the eyes of the Mad Lord and Hunwan, and even the sticky stare of Coatrial from afar is directed this way. Are they mistaking me for a true immortal? It seems there's some misunderstanding, ancestor. I'm not some true immortal entity. However, she doesn't listen to my words, and instead bows her head at my feet. O Great One, please, I beg thee to now spare our sect. We are nothing more than a small sect in the head realm. There are not many of us who even truly believe and follow the legend of the founder. We are those who have nothing to do with the founder's deeds, so please. Even if you have a grievance against the founder, please, I implore thee, let your anger be appeased with just me. Just as I'm about to say something in response to her desperate demeanor, as if she would lick my feet. Flash. The dull light of the flying escape technique flickers, and in that instant, Hunwan swiftly charges in and kicks Yonwei's projection away. Quang. Yonwei, kicked in the stomach by Hunwan, is sent flying and crashes into a pillar of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Hunwan glares at Yonwei and growls. What do you think you're doing right now, Jinwei? Hunwan. She trembles as she looks at Hunwan. You've become blind. Those once shining eyes have completely lost their focus. Yonwei lets out a short ha and bites her lip as if in despair. I expected this from the start. When I was trying to pluck out your eyes and extract the contamination of the great being embedded in your soul, I could feel that the contamination was regenerating your eyes and giving you strength. I've always thought that the spiritual eye divine power you later gained was certainly something bestowed upon you by someone. She looks at Hunwan with bitter eyes and then looks up at me. If it was bestowed by someone, then that someone could retrieve it whenever they wish. Is that not right? Oh God. She staggers as she gets up from the ground. The power I felt when I stitched that fool's mind, the presence I sensed while chasing that being called Chinra, and the aura I started to feel from you at some point, they were all the same. Yonwei, stumbling, walks forward and kneels before me again. Oh God, I've been aware of it. I've suspected it from the very day you took me, Jian Myonghun, and your followers to that familiar-feeling salt mountain. Thud. She bangs her head on the ground before me. Even so, I trusted you deep down in my heart. Ah, Great One, just as you protected us from the owner of that wicked heavenly lightning banner, I believed you wouldn't bring us misfortune this time. However, what we mere mortals dared to and yet cannot comprehend is your purpose. Yes, you must have had a need, hence you used us. Our founder was such a person as well. But please, I beg of you, this insignificant thing has a request. Bang, bang. She bangs her head on the ground, even materializing her projection to do so. I can feel it. Though it's just a projection, it's connected to the soul enshrined within the head realm, bearing all of the same pain. Please take me as the last and spare the descendants. Bang. At her words, I try to say something, but I find myself at a loss for words and close my mouth. She felt that the presence of Chinra, which she sensed while suturing Hunwan's mind in the past, the presence of Pinglai Island's salt mountain when I brought her there, and the presence of the phenomena-extinguishing mantra that I had internalized, were all identical. This led her to fully believe that I am the incarnation of the owner of Great Mountain. In other words, from her perspective, I am now the very being who drove Hun One to madness 40,000 years ago, shattering her heart, and the source of the misfortune that has plagued her life. I close my eyes. In truth, perhaps this is how most people see me. Unless they are my comrades who also quickly accumulated power after arriving from Earth, this is probably the normal way people see me. There is a method to clear up this misunderstanding, to prove that I am not a true immortal. That's by revealing my regression. But I can't do that. So what should I do? I find myself at a loss, unable to think of a solution, and can only open and close my mouth. And the one who saves me from this predicament is none other than Hun One. Clench. He grabs Yon Wei by the collar and lifts her up, growling with an even more furious expression than before. Answer my question, Jin Wei. I asked, what do you think you're doing? What does it matter to you what I do? It's none of your concern, is it? Why wouldn't it matter? Right now, are you not offering yourself to that person without repaying the debt you owe me? Debt? What debt? Ah, you mean plucking out your eyes. Huh, those eyes that couldn't even properly distinguish people were too good for you, so I removed them. In fact, the eyes that have lost their light suit you much better. She laughs scornfully at Hun One and shouts, how many times do I have to tell you, you blind fool? There's no such person called Chinra, and I've only ever killed one disciple of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect with my own hands. That wasn't even the Chinra you knew, but my own senior brother. Got it. Stop spouting nonsense. You are clearly the monster who devoured all your fellow disciples. You took everything from me. I will never allow you to become someone else's possession before you repay that debt. Foolish man. Yon Wei looks down at Hun One while still being held by the collar. For some reason, her eyes hold a faint trace of longing and deep despair. You can't even remember the promise of that day, and now you're blocking me with this nonsensical logic driven by leftover emotions. How pathetic. Pathetic, pathetic, and even more pathetic, my old lover. If you want to stop me, first recall the promise of that day. She's currently a projection made of lightning, so it doesn't show. But I suspect that if she had a physical body, she would be in tears right now. That's how heart-wrenching Yon Wei's intent is at this moment. Nonsense. Aside from the formal pact we made through political marriage, I've never made any promises with you. She no longer responds to his words and, in her projected form, slips through Hun One's grasp and approaches me. Yon Wei glances at Hun One briefly and then bends forward slightly without kneeling. Will the Great One please grant my request? With great difficulty, I force myself to speak. I am not a true immortal, I am just one person of many just like you. Yon Wei doesn't respond. But I can't help but hear her inner thoughts echoing within her heart essence. Are you trying to mock us until the very end? And as that thought crosses her mind, as if something saps her strength, Yon Wei's projection slumps to the ground. Seeing this, Hun One's face twists in anger, as if something doesn't sit well with him. Bujaduk. I told you not to kneel, Wei. Kagagugu. The power of yin-yang and the 5 elements begins to surge around Hun One, and just as I prepare to subdue him, Kuang. The body of Hun One, who was about to launch an attack, is suddenly crushed under a puppet. It's her. Kagaguguk. She synchronizes with the black energy emanating from the Black Lord, and unleashes a tremendous force, and Hun One is completely subdued beneath her. You're really putting on quite the show in my world. If you don't want to be modified, keep your mouth shut until we arrive. Though the words come from the Mad Lord, who is only at the mid-4-axis stage, no one present can oppose his words. Hun One glares at Yon Wei with an unreadable emotion overflowing in his eyes before being dragged away by her. Yon Wei, after briefly glancing at me, lowers her eyes and dissipates her projection, vanishing. You two, stop causing trouble. Don't test my patience. Remember that I'm holding back my anger with superhuman restraint. The Mad Lord also gives me a warning before hastening his control over the wonderfully mysterious fortress. I stand there, recalling Yon Wei's words for a moment. Up until now, I've done everything I could for the sake of saving my people. I've always been careful with my words and cautious of the future. I knew long ago that the heavens are not on our side, so I've done everything I could to ensure we could overcome any misfortune that befalls us. But even so, there are those who saw my actions and formed such sentiments. Have I been too arrogant? When I think about it, I realize that I have. I've always cared about those I wanted to protect, but I never considered their own perspective. even when I recently drove the human race out of their territory. There may have been those who valued their homeland more than their own lives. I thought that with strong power, I could lead everyone. But I never considered the perspective of those being led. I asked the Mad Lord without thinking. May I ask you a question? What is it? There must have been someone you wanted to protect, right? Of course. If the thoughts of the person you want to protect differ from yours. In other words, if the one you want to protect doesn't actually want to be protected by you, what would you do? Are you talking about that woman from a moment ago? He glances at me briefly, then seems to be deep in thought, letting out a faint hum. That's a problem I've never considered. He seems to have found some sort of insight from my question, and his expression becomes one of deep contemplation, even forgetting his anger. Suddenly, he asks me a question. I heard you taught my disciple the martial arts of mortals. Yes. I was told that the level of that martial art far surpasses that of my old friend, of even my lover. It was only for a brief moment, but it seems that he and Kim Yoon had quite the conversation through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon. There's one thing I'm curious about. I completed the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon by researching martial arts and the intent of martial artists with the goal of perfecting my lover's martial art. Then, you, who taught my disciple such a high-level martial art, you must know. He asks, could you defeat cultivators with that martial art alone? And if you could, what is the name of that martial art, and what is the name of that realm? I look into the Mad Lord's eyes, recalling the past. There was a time like that. The days when I was obsessed with whether one could challenge cultivators with martial arts or not. The name that was given in those days. Entering heavens beyond the path martial arts. It's the name of the method where mortals can become the heavens, and the realm is called entering heavens beyond the path. Entering heavens. The Mad Lord seems to roll the name around in his mouth for a moment before asking again. In the eyes of someone who has reached that realm, how do I appear? Have I reached what you call entering heavens beyond the path? On behalf of the ones who entrusted their hearts to me, I've dedicated my entire life to reaching that realm with cultivation methods, but I've only managed to slightly glimpse heart essence. In your eyes, how do I seem? I look at him for a moment before answering. Half step, you've only just reached that point. Is that so? The Mad Lord lets out a bitter smile. Then he gives an answer to my earlier question. You asked what I would do if the hearts of those I wanted to protect differed from mine. Look at me. I devoted my entire life, but I couldn't reach the entering heavens you spoke of. I couldn't protect the ones I wanted to protect, nor have I gained a single thing I sought. Isn't that life? Isn't that fate? He continues speaking while glaring at a certain place. The place he is glaring at is where Coatl is looking over in this direction. Even that scorpion snake bastard glaring at us from afar tried so hard but couldn't obtain what he wanted. In the end, nothing in this world goes exactly as we want it to. So just do what you can. How others think, that isn't something you can control. For things you can't control, just let it go, and for things you can, just give it your all. Surug. The Mad Lord speaks while stroking her hand. That is the only reason I'm still alive in this strange and bizarre world, even while harboring this pain. As if recalling something. His voice somehow lacks strength. With those words, the conversation between the Mad Lord and me comes to an end. 3 days later, the Mad Lord's wonderfully mysterious fortress arrives at Heaven Earth Palace. Are you ready, Coatl? I ask Coatl through heart language, and he responds. The preparations for pulling are almost complete, however, it seems that being will climb up to the bright cold realm sooner than expected. What, around when? It will arrive in about half a day. I let out a low groan at those words. Understood, get ready to pull when I give the signal. The Mad Lord will hold and I will push. Yes, God. And then it happens. Quagwagwagwang. The entire bright cold realm shakes, and celestial energy begins to flow erratically. I flinch in surprise and look up at the sky, and a hurried message comes from Coatl's side. Upon receiving Coatl's message, I roar in anger. Coatl, just what? I apologize, Taoist Co. I wasn't aware of the correlation between them and the ghostly yin transformation immortal root, so I couldn't foresee this. Damn fine. I explain the situation to the Mad Lord. The Mad Lord listens to my explanation and lets out a hollow laugh. Look at that. In the end, nothing in this world goes the way you want it to. Damn it, damn it, damn it. I'm on the verge of losing my mind, grinding my teeth. Contrary to Coatrial's prediction, the ghost guiding Holy Mother isn't emerging from the void spirit pond. Instead, Kang Min-hee is being summoned near my comrades, who are with the Nether crossing ship. It's clear that the Nether crossing ship has summoned Kang Min-hee. Right now, I must immediately go to my comrades, who are preparing to leap from the edge of the stable realm to the Heart Tribe territory. But how? There's no way. Just as my mind is about to go blank. TSD. Kim Yeon, who is connected to me through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, sends me a voice transmission. Can you come right away? No, I'm at the Heaven Earth Palace. It's impossible to get there right now. Hyung Hwa says she has a way. What? Startled by her words, I ask back. What's the method? For now, I'll send Hyung Hwa's consciousness over there. Woo-wung. Kim Yeon's consciousness links with Buck Hyung Hwa, and through Kim Yeon, Buck Hyung Hwa's projection appears here. Payet. Buck Hyung Hwa encounters Jo Yeon inside the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Hello, Elder Jo Yeon. I, this lowly junior Buck, am honored to meet the idol of all artisans in the head realm. At her words, Jo Yeon frowns and asks, And who are you? She's the artisan with the extraordinary pattern law talent who was mentioned to have helped Yeon previously. She's currently close with us. However, upon my explanation, the expression on the Mad Lord's face becomes somewhat strange. Are you saying you're a bloodline of the Jo clan? Pardon? That's strange. There's no way you could be a bloodline of the Jo clan. Absolutely not. What do you? Well, never mind. I'll hear the details later, so why are you here? At the Mad Lord's question, Buck Hyung Hwa regains her composure and forms hand seals. Simultaneously, a certain design appears before us. Though it may be inadequate to present to the pinnacle of the head realm's artisans, with this, it should be sufficient to travel from the Heaven-Earth Palace to here. That is... The Mad Lord gazes at the design she has shown with interest. It's the blueprint of the realm annihilation, heavenly void formation. However, I ask, feeling frustrated. Time is of the essence right now. Where do we have the time to create that? Why not join forces with me and fly the wonderfully mysterious fortress instead? But to my words, the Mad Lord simply sneers. Where do you think time is needed? How much time do you think it even takes? Pardon, what does that? Kiyang. At the Mad Lord's gesture, a humanoid puppet flies in from somewhere and lands in front of Buck Hyung Hwa. No more words are needed. I'll show you, so just watch. Since you don't seem to be of the Jo clan bloodline, I'll temporarily use you as my assistant. I don't know how you acquired the extraordinary pattern law talent without being from my clan, but if it's the extraordinary pattern law talent, you should be able to at least assist well enough. At the Mad Lord's words, Buck Hyung Hwa possesses the puppet called by him, and responds with an enthusiastic voice. It is an honor, Elder Mad Lord Jo Yeon. Now let's show them the power of artisans. Clankling, clankling, clankling. The mechanisms of the wonderfully mysterious fortress begin to move. At the same time, the Mad Lord and Buck Hyung Hwa combine their abilities, tearing the void spirit pond from the land of the Heaven-Earth Central region, and rapidly start implanting the realm annihilation, heavenly void formation into the interior of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Insane. Even though I've seen Mad Lord several times, to be honest, even after nearly 200,000 years, I'm still not used to it. Clankling, clankling, tong. With a grand sound resounding, the realm annihilation heavenly void formation, smaller in size but more intricate than the one installed in the Twilight Domain, is quickly established at the center of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. It was made in a makeshift way, but it should be usable. Now let's get going. The Mad Lord wipes his sweat and activates the realm annihilation heavenly void formation, causing the wonderfully mysterious fortress to begin leaping through space. Chwararak. Traversing thousands upon tens of thousands of li in an instant, we soon find ourselves facing a ghost mother heaven. Chapter 425. What does a person live for? Kurung kurururung. A storm is brewing. Coatrial, how long will it take to draw in the ghost guiding Holy Mother? That, since it was originally planned to pull her in from the designated coordinates, now that the coordinates have suddenly changed, it will take more time to adjust them. How much time do we need? It will take at least a day. At those words, I grit my teeth and shout. You useless thing. Wait, please calm down, Taoist CEO. If there's a way to fix the coordinates, we can drastically reduce the time. What do you want me to do? CEO Atrial, smiling from a distance, responds to my words. If you have the blood of a sea dragon race like me, or the main soul, you can quickly locate the coordinates. As I understand, one of your comrades is my descendant. If you send me a handful of that child's blood or even a fragment of their soul, I can modify the coordinates within one shichen. So he's asking for Seo Ran's blood or a fragment of his soul. It's when I'm in deep thought. Kagagugugu. The wonderfully mysterious fortress finally succeeds in fully settling at its destination. Pushia. The realm annihilation ground shrinking formation installed in the wonderfully mysterious fortress releases its heat, and I, along with my comrades, can once again see the human race Grand Alliance on the deck of the Nether crossing ship. On the deck of the Nether crossing ship, Jun Yi and the other leaders of the human race Grand Alliance look back and forth between me and the wonderfully mysterious fortress, clearly bewildered, and I say to them and everyone else present, as the ghost guiding Holy Mother is trying to descend here, all of you should move to the coordinates I've provided. At my words, Guak shouts, it's not ready yet, the energy hasn't accumulated enough. Damn it. Then the Mad Lord steps forward. Black Lord. Kagagugugu. A massive darkness emerges from the wonderfully mysterious fortress. An overwhelming power of darkness begins to flow from the puppet made from the corpse of the Black Dragon King Hyun Eam. The black seawater originally contained within his integrated Tao domain begins to resonate with the power sources of the Nether crossing ship. Wu-Lung. The power source of the Nether crossing ship possessed by her as its core, along with the two Nether crossing ships, begin to rise rapidly. What in the world? Guak, seeing that the Mad Lord is helping them, looks up at him in confusion, and I turn around and shout. If it's charged, activate it. At my words, Guak snaps back to his senses and shouts. Activate the Nether crossing ship. Activate the Nether crossing ship. Release the hawsers. Raise the anchor. Upon Guak's command, thousands upon tens of thousands of ghosts start to boil up from the top of the Nether crossing ship, rising into the air. The Nether crossing ship begins to prepare for a spatial leap. Taoist CEO, there's no time. You must send it quickly. Ahead of us, I can see Kang Minhee breaking through the dimensions and descending, while CEO Atrial urges me to send a piece of CEO Ran's soul. But I frown. Is he perhaps planning on doing something to CEO Ran? There's no worry if it's just CEO Atrial as a single entity, but CEO Atrial is a multitude, a plague in himself. If I give him CEO Ran's trace, who knows what he might do? He said he wouldn't betray us, but it's when I'm agonizing to the point of madness. Master, Hong Fan flies over to me. Master should board the Nether crossing ship as well. I must stop Kang Minhee here. Kum, I understand. Is there anything you need? I briefly explain the current situation to Hong Fan, who nods and says, there's no time to bring Sir CEO Ran, so I'll create the coordinates myself and send them to the person called CEO Atrial. What is that even possible? TSDSDSDDS. At that moment, Hong Fan instantly pulls out an alchemical furnace and begins tossing in strange medicinal ingredients, starting to refine something. After a while, when Hong Fan places the herbs and poisonous liquid into the alchemical furnace, it heats up, and a deep red liquid starts to ripple inside. Using the leftover and peels of the sea orchid fruit left behind by Sir CEO Ran last time, I've created a liquid with properties almost identical to the true blood of the sea dragon race. I've carefully combined the ingredients, adjusting their proportions and blending the chi of the herbs to perfectly mimic that of the sea dragon race. Master can use this to stabilize the coordinates. Got it. I relay Hong Fan's words to CEO Atrial, who accepts my proposal with a hint of disbelief. Understood. I never imagined something like that was possible. Then I'll connect the coordinates. Pay it. At the same time, a fragment of CEO Atrial's tainted soul filling the heavens emerges from my shadow and seeps directly into the liquid Hong Fan has created. Hong Fan carefully adjusts the energy of the liquid, working hard to send the coordinates to CEO Atrial. After a while, the liquid turns even more crimson and begins to shine brightly. Blood sacrifice ritual blood yin returning home. Wu Wuang. The liquid, now infused with Coatriol's tainted soul filling the heavens, begins to boil as if it's burning crimson red. I squint my eyes and take a step back to avoid the attraction force emanating from the liquid. Soon Coatriol's voice echoes. Once that entity returns, please pour the liquid onto it. Got it. Kagagugu. Once again, space distorts and Kang Minhee, who was temporarily expelled to the interdimensional void by Coatriol and I, returns. Chills. I feel a shiver run through my entire body as I look at Kang Minhee. This crazy. Previously, her power was unstable, fluctuating at the early star-shattering stage. But now that she descends again, her strength has clearly stabilized at the mid-star shattering stage. Did she undergo a heavenly tribulation in the interdimensional void and advance? From within the darkness, I can feel her gaze passing over me, directed at the nether crossing ship as it prepares for a spatial leap. The next moment, I quickly swing the colorless glass sword. I sense Kang Minhee launching an attack toward the nether crossing ship at a speed that I can barely perceive. Severing mountain swordsmanship, echoing valley. Emptying all the strength in the sword, I channel Kang Minhee's strike into the blade and deflect it towards the sky. Tung. Her single strike deflected towards the heavens. Jiwak. The sky splits open. Chwak. From the southern end of the horizon to the northern end. A black line is drawn across the sky, reminiscent of the scene of split sky Kim Jong-hoon once showed by cleaving the sky of a sea domain in the ancient Force realm. The difference is that, while Kim Jong-hoon's feet only cleave the sky of a sea domain at most equivalent in size to the human race territory, Kang Minhee's strike has torn open the far vaster sky of the bright cold realm. Kagagugu. Watching the black chasm that has formed in the void, I shout at Hong Fan. Pour it Hong Fan depart, Black Ghost Valley. Flash. Two nether-crossing ships from the Black Ghost Valley leap through space, and I turn to look at Hong Fan. Huh? But for some reason, Hong Fan, showing a blankness he has never shown before, is staring in a daze beyond the darkness that Kang Minhee has cloaked herself in. Hong Fan quickly. Qwang. Suddenly, I am struck with such force that I almost lose consciousness. Ka-lug. Something massive and powerful slammed into my body. And that something is none other than a barrier formed by hundreds of ghost kings. What is this? What just happened? This is. I realize what is happening and widen my eyes. Kang Minhee, using the ground shrinking technique, is distorting space and leaping through dimensions to chase after the nether crossing ship heading toward the chaos realm. And I, who was between her and the nether crossing ship, am now being swept away by her charge, slammed into the barrier she's created and carried along with her. So this is the ground shrinking technique of the star-shattering stage. If the ground shrinking technique of the 4-axis and integration stage, cultivators merely fold space to move a bit faster than the flying escape technique, then the ground shrinking technique at the star-shattering stage is on a completely different level. P.it. Everything around appears as a blur of light. Similar to when I ascended from the head realm to the bright cold realm, the entire space is pressing down on me with immense pressure, and everything around me appears like thin lines. And far behind me, I can see the nether crossing ship making a dimensional leap to flee into the Heart Tribe territory. Damn it, she's going to catch up. I grind my teeth as I watch Kang Minhee catching up to the dimensional leap of the nether crossing ship, which is traveling through the infinite space-time, using nothing but the ground shrinking technique. Hong Fan missed the timing. While he was distracted by something, she initiated the ground shrinking technique, preventing Coatriol from forming the coordinates needed to pull her back. At this rate, the plan won't even begin. I can't let that happen. Qjujujaduk. I raise the 3 great ultimates behind my back, envelop myself with my domain, and transform into my true form. Guyuag. Kagagugu. In my true form, I exert all of my strength to resist Kang Minhee's attraction force. But I realize that the force of pushing is not really compatible with me from the start. All of my cultivation and combat techniques are specialized in cutting and piercing. Everything I have researched and realized until now is overwhelmingly based on the sword. But the essence of the sword is ultimately about cutting, piercing, and blocking. Pushing itself is not an essence that can be achieved with a sword. If the opponent had a will, I could perhaps momentarily stop them by tearing or gouging out vulnerable spots like the eyes or genitals. But my opponent is Kang Min-hee, the ghost guiding Holy Mother. Leaving aside the fact that I can't do such things to her, even if I could, her current ghostly transformation makes such weaknesses meaningless. Curses are useless too. I launched a few weak curses into the darkness, but the pain from the curses dispersed among the countless quadrillions of spirits, rendering it practically useless. If it's a curse created by putting forth all my efforts, it might make even the vengeful spirits that number in the quadrillions flinch, but that's about it. Wu-wung. Through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, I sense the Mad Lord leading the wonderfully mysterious fortress and activating the realm annihilation ground shrinking formation, closely following Kang Min-hee with Hong Fan. Mad Lord's heart message flies to me. Hold on for just a moment. Then, I'll send the puppet army to spill that scorpion snake bastard's blood. Just slow down her movements even a little and it'll be possible. Sensing the area behind me, I notice that the Mad Lord's realm annihilation ground shrinking formation is gradually falling behind both Kang Min-hee and me. It seems that, having been used once, it's no longer functioning as effectively. Slow her down for a moment. But seeing Kang Min-hee, who continues without any hesitation despite my best efforts to stop her, I feel a growing sense of despair. Just what can I do to stop her? How? Just how? Sareric. It's then. Something soft brushes against my fingertips as I'm trying to stop Kang Min-hee. You. It's Kim Yeon. I widen my eyes, seeing Kim Yeon's figure appear beside me. Harurururu. She was burning. The one beside me is not her main body, but a consciousness form. She appears as a flame, dense with pure white consciousness. And I have seen this form of hers before. In the 15th cycle, when Kim Yeon presided over Jae Ryon's vast cold oath. However, unlike back then, her form is considerably more unstable, and instead of the pale pink hue at that time, now it's merely a pure white light that came from densely concentrated consciousness. However, I can feel that she is trying to reach that state from back then, even if only for a moment. Kim Yeon is focusing her mind with an intensity I have never seen before. It's now, in a state that is practically the manifestation of pure consciousness, Kim Yeon. As her hand touches mine, I instantly understand what she wants. It transcends mere thoughts and is directly transmitted. As if hypnotized, I follow Kim Yeon's command and thrust the All-Heaven's sword into her. Everyone come. And with the All-Heaven's sword's adjustment of planes, all my comrades connected through Kim Yeon's wonderfully mysterious, innate heart cannon simultaneously reveal themselves. Chuerak, Oh Hyun-seok, Azure Tiger Saint, Kim Young-hoon, Jeon Myo-hoon, and other comrades manifest their consciousness from the plane of soul, descending to the plane of chi, guided by the All-Heaven's sword. Kim Yeon has temporarily allowed everyone to reach a state with clones that are almost as good as their main bodies. At the forefront are Oh Hyun-seok and Azure Tiger Saint. Ha, amazing. To think we could create a body with our consciousness and manifest it in the plane of soul, then lower the plane to create clones almost identical to our main bodies. Azure Tiger Saint laughs heartily as he shouts. We can test this legendary technique, Hyun-seok. Yes, master. Let's show them our sect's history. Wings begin to sprout from the backs of Azure Tiger Saint and Oh Hyun-seok. 1 wing, 2 wings, 3 wings. Gradually, their bodies start to grow larger, boiling with starlight. The wings emit the azure light of the azure heavens, making their bodies shine as if they are formed from both day and night, as if they are the sky itself. 7 wings, 8 wings, 9 wings. Their auras continue to intensify. In an instant, the auras of Azure Tiger Saint and Oh Hyun-seok surpass the grand perfection 4-axis stage and soar to the early integration stage. Then the armor that Azure Tiger Saint is wearing begins to glow. Behold, this is the essence of the 2,000-year history of the great Azure Heaven creation sect. Chi-yang. And beneath the 9th wings, a 10th set of wings begins to emerge. These are red wings. Wings of life, forged from the blood and sweat of Azure Tiger Saint and Oh Hyun-seok. As the auras of the Azure Heaven wings and the wings of life mix, the bodies of Oh Hyun-seok and Azure Tiger Saint are dyed in purple. That's the final Azure Wing heavenly shatter of Azure Tiger Saint that I witnessed in the 14th cycle. The form of 10 wings. The purple giants that Oh Hyan Siak and Azure Tiger Saint have transformed into charge at Kang Minhee all at once and push her. Her specialty is cutting, Seo Yun Hyan. Oh Hyan Siak shouts as he looks back at me. Leave this type of work to us. These clones created by Kim Yon's ability won't be a problem even if they're destroyed. Azure Tiger Saint, drawing upon the power of the clear sky armor, demonstrates the strength that once briefly blocked the Black Dragon King when he was combined with the Esteemed One. Oh Hyan Siak, combining the abilities of the unique holy body and the power of 10 wings, amplifies his strength to a level comparable to Azure Tiger Saint. The two giants stand firm as a shield in front of me. Indra's net. Kwajijijik. Jian Myohun transforms into a two-headed, six-armed lightning god, casting a net made of lightning. Soon, the net catches both the wonderfully mysterious fortress and us, and I can feel the wonderfully mysterious fortress being pulled even faster toward us with the help of Jian Myohun's power. I heard we need to pour something on Kang Minhee. Kim Yon is connected to my consciousness, and since our comrades are connected to Kim Yon's consciousness, most of the situation, excluding demon beasts, has been shared with our comrades in real time. Kim Young-hoon, understanding our plan due to this connection, speaks up. I'll join forces with Hong Fan to scatter it together. Plays D. Then Kang Minhee begins to struggle. Kuang. Kagagagugu. With just one thrash of her body, the nether crossing ship ahead is shaken. The wonderfully mysterious fortress following behind trembles wildly, and all of us blocking her cough up blood from our 7 orifices. If Kang Minhee keeps moving, it will be difficult even with Hong Fan and Kim Young-hoon joining forces. I make a decision. Go ahead, even if only for a moment. I will restrict Kang Minhee's movements. I trust you. Payet. Kim Young-hoon vanishes, and I grip the colorless glass sword, focusing my consciousness for a brief moment. The opponent is an entity that cannot be cut. What works now is not the slashing or piercing of the sword, but pushing or blocking. Does that mean my sword is currently useless? No. How many times have I despaired before the heavens, before fate? How many times have I cried out in helplessness against overwhelming force that cannot be resisted? Is it not my sword that I have honed, so it can be used even in moments like this? There's still something left that can be cut. If it's against an entity where cutting has no meaning, and even if they are cut they cannot feel pain, what should I cut? TSDS. I imbue my consciousness into the sword. Originally, it was a move imbued with the nascent soul and swung, but now that the nascent soul has evolved into a domain, it has become a technique that envelops the world within it. Severing Mountain Swordsmanship. 25th move. Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace. All my power merges into the sword, and the power completely ascends to the plane of soul. The curse was scattered among the vengeful spirits. TSDS. The Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace darkens black. In that case, if I embed the curse and reverse it the moment the pain is dispersed, it will lead to a concentration of blessing instead of a dispersion of the curses. I will concentrate the blessing solely on Kang Minhee, stopping her even if just for a moment. The Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace alone isn't enough. Though she has no consciousness, she is no different from the star-shattering stage. Even if the speed of the Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace is comparable to the single strike of seated detachment, standing oblivion, it won't be enough against her. Chances are it will be blocked by her midway. I must strike with a speed that can't be blocked. Along with the Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace, I combine another technique. Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace. And Deep Mountain Emerging Tao. Application Technique. Deep Grace, Shining Dominance, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. The black sword energy extends in the shape of a crescent moon. The sword energy of the Sea of Righteousness and Mountain of Grace flies at the speed of Deep Mountain, Emerging Tao, quickly piercing Kang Minhee's chest and scattering the curse within her. In the next moment, the curse, along with my will embedded inside, reverses. The pain does not disperse. Instead, the blessing concentrates entirely on her. Payet. A clear crescent moon seems to bloom on Kang Minhee's chest. It's as if a bright, radiant moon has risen in the middle of the night. Payet. The next moment, I enter Kang Minhee's heart essence. Inside, I momentarily push out the torment of the ghosts wailing within her and confront her consciousness. A pure white space. Facing each other, now clear-headed in this brief moment, we look at each other and smile bitterly without needing words. It's so embarrassing I could die. Kang Min-hee brushes her face. I didn't expect you to come this deep inside. You must have seen everything in my heart. I didn't see everything. Don't lie, you saw it. Tell me what you saw. The space I briefly created, in Kang Min-hee's heart essence, through the blessing is being dyed in darkness. With her face still covered by her hands, she asked. I answer with a gentle smile. That time, no special explanation is needed. And here we understand each other's hearts. The evening of the day we dated for the second time and broke up for the last time. The scene in the smoking area. I saw the longing and regret that Kang Min-hee had hidden at that time. Kang Min-hee lowers her hand. She's crying. The surroundings are being consumed by darkness. The short time gained by the sea of righteousness and mountain of grace is coming to an end. Do you know Seo Yun-hyan? I look at Kang Min-hee calmly, and she speaks while shedding tears. It's now that I finally realize. Payet. Once again, my consciousness returns outside of Kang Min-hee's heart essence. And the voice of Kang Min-hee, who briefly regained her consciousness due to me, quietly echoes amidst the ghostly wails. Life is sorrow. Shuash. Then Seo Atrial's red liquid is scattered above her. Flash. The coordinates connect, and the gate to the astral realm where Seo Atrial and Oh Hai Seo are opened. Clang. It's called a door for convenience, but in reality, it's a type of branded mark. A red dragon's branded mark is imprinted on Kang Min-hee's body. It's the same spell formation I've seen on the topmost floor of the serving command palace. The spell formation imposed on her body, and the ghost kings around her begins to bind her, becoming a passage to the astral realm. Zhuang. A faint image of the astral realm begins to emerge behind Kang Min-hee. The branded mark on her body is summoning a scene of the universe filled with stars. And through that scene, I understand the reason Seo Atrial's curse of blindness, which was originally 1,000 years, extended to a span of 2 billion years. Seo Atrial, you crazy bastard. The scene of the astral realm. Beyond it, true to its name, an endless sea of stars stretches out. And within that sea of stars, countless beings live among the fixed stars and planets. From flame whales living within fixed stars to civilizations on blue planets, to insect-like species dwelling on planets filled with toxic clouds. Filled with all kinds of civilizations and all forms of life, the astral sea, Chinese letter. Seo Atrial is there. Thud. On a planet inhabited by a species resembling humans. One of the members of that species stands there with hands behind their back, smiling faintly. Thud, 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 thud. Ho ho. Then all the members of the race around them begin to laugh in the exact same manner. So ho ho ho. Thud, 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 thud. Their alien, mask-like laughter spreads across the entire planet. It's the same for other stars as well. On the toxic cloud-covered planet, the poisonous insects that had been spewing venom stand up, twitching their antennae as they begin to laugh. Even the flame whales living in the fixed stars stop swimming and begin to laugh in place. All the life forms on every star visible behind Kang Min-hee are already infected by Seo Atrial. Their numbers, even with a simple calculation, easily reach hundreds of billions. No, it might even be in the trillions. This insane bastard, he caused all this mess while blind. Once fully consumed by the tainted soul filling the heavens, one essentially becomes identical to Seo Atrial. Even if trillions of Seo Atrials just casually litter the streets or bump into people once a day, all those evil deeds would certainly accumulate to easily fill 2 billion years. It's when I'm struck in shock. Wait, Seo Atrial, that bastard, could it be? Somewhere far off in the astral realm. From that place, I sense a familiar presence, and I understand what Seo Atrial is trying to do. Oh Hai Seo is exerting her power. Just like how Kim Yeon and I are connected through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, allowing us to sense each other's intentions and share power back and forth. Oh Hai Seo is connected to Seo Atrial and the tainted soul filling the heavens, exchanging authority between them. Wu-Vung. By her authority, a Taiji appears above the inhabitants of countless stars infected by the tainted soul filling the heavens. The tainted soul filling the heavens stirs their souls. Ohaisio's authority, linked with the tainted soul filling the heavens, begins to move their chi. Taboo. All the coatrials simultaneously form a hand seal. The insects use their antennae, the demon beasts use their paws, tails, or fins, all forming the same hand seal. My jaw drops at the following scene. The star veins are changing. Chills. Though coatrial roughly explained it to me, I didn't know the exact method. Now that I understand what he's doing, I'm left utterly dumbfounded. By infecting the inhabitants of the planets with tainted soul filling the heavens, coatrial is seizing control of the dragon veins by linking their corrupted souls to the plane of chi through Ohaisio's authority, and with that, he is brainwashing the stars. Kagagagugu. Stars also possess souls, but those souls are completely different from those of intelligent beings or living creatures. The will and reason within those souls is minimal. However, coatrial has temporarily brainwashed all life forms on the stars, and through those beings, is overlaying his personality onto the stars whose reason are weak. Puwek. Finally, the nether crossing ship makes a dimensional leap and briefly reaches the interdimensional void outside the bright cold realm. Despite the brand of coatrial still being on her, Kang Min-hee also follows the nether crossing ship and leaps out of the dimension. I can sense the Mad Lord's wonderfully mysterious fortress, which had been pursuing us, suddenly come to a stop. Coatrial. The Mad Lord is crying out in tears of blood from within the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Did you erase my most important memory? The tainted soul filling the heavens placed on the Mad Lord is unraveling. Damn! He begins to go berserk, and Kim Young-hoon moves quickly, taking Hong Fan from the wonderfully mysterious fortress onto the nether crossing ship. Coatrial. The Mad Lord's consciousness grows unstable, and as he rages, the wonderfully mysterious fortress that has been following us begins to descend back into the dimension. Though the Mad Lord is cursing coatrial continues his spell without paying any attention. The star veins are moving. The attraction force of the stars brainwashed by coatrial begin to move freely, causing changes in the star veins. Dieng. With the senses given by the star vein eye, I hear a sound like a Brahma bell being struck from some distant place as the star veins move. As the star veins shift, they sketch out a massive formation in the universe. Dieng. The sound of the Brahma bell rings once more, and above the formation drawn across the universe, the light of divine immortal beasts such as the black dragon, lustrous glazed peacock, and azure peng appears. It's Ohaisio's authority. Then the forms of the immortal beasts begin to cry out in unison. Woo-woo. Kagagugugu. As the immortal beasts howl, an attraction force begins to emerge from the center of the formation. Kang Min-hee's speed slows. Now all that's left is for coatrial to pull and for me to push. But with the Mad Lord out of the picture, I have to do this alone. Even if Kang Min-hee struggles, there's no choice. I have to push her out. Sorry, Kang Min-hee. As I gaze upon Kang Min-hee, with tears of dark blue streaming from her eyes in the darkness, I summon the three great ultimates and press both palms forward. Goodbye. Coatrial and Ohaisio pull and I push. Kagagugugu. Kang Min-hee slowly begins to be pushed backwards. She starts moving toward the scene of the universe. It's then. Flash. A blue light seems to flicker from Kang Min-hee's hand, and she reaches out toward the two nether-crossing ships ahead. Kagaguguk. Traction force of a cosmic level pulls towards her, summoning the nether-crossing ships. It isn't her will. The countless vengeful souls harbored within Kang Min-hee are demanding the blood debt of humanity aboard the nether-crossing ships. Of course, aside from the grudge against humanity, the ghostly energy of the nether-crossing ships is similar to the energy Kang Min-hee has cultivated, making the attraction force even stronger. Alia. Kang Min-hee's scream echoes through the interdimensional void. I'm sorry, Kang Min-hee. There are still so many things I haven't been able to say to her. I can't imagine how much she's suffering. Though I've endured hellish experiences, I don't even dare to imagine how her suffering compares, burdened with the pain of vengeful souls numbering in the quadrillions within her. But now is not the time to comfort her as I did back then. I have already lost far too much. Losing more would wear down my heart too much. The human race facing calamity, my comrades and my own life. Now I will protect them. Welwung. However, as I sense the overwhelming power of Kang Minhee, I break out in a cold sweat. She's too strong. My prediction was wrong. It isn't just that her strength is immense. Kang Minhee and the Nether Crossing ship share the same ghostly energy. As a disciple of Black Ghost Valley, she possesses the attraction force of Black Ghost Valley itself. In other words, as long as the Nether Crossing ship of Black Ghost Valley is advancing ahead, shaking her off completely is a nearly impossible task. This isn't the time to hold back. Kagagung. Watching the Nether Crossing ships being pulled by Kang Minhee's attraction force, I make my decision. I must do everything I can to push her away. I draw out the colorless glass sword and focus my sword intent. Just then, Boing, Quagwigwang. Suddenly, an explosive force erupts from within Kang Minhee and throws me back completely. Kayak. I'm flung back solely by the slash of a ghost claw and crash straight into one of the Nether Crossing ships. Quagwigwang. My mind feels like it's going blank. The impact has caused the Nether Crossing ship's midsection to be half destroyed. Fortunately, it didn't split completely and remains barely connected. I shout to Hyogwak, overdrive the Nether Crossing ship as much as you can. And then, flash, along with a blue light, Hyogwak and several of the heavenly being stage elders and ghost kings of Black Ghost Valley rush in and completely shatter the half-broken midsection of the Nether Crossing ship. I'm taken aback. Thud, 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 thud. The elders of Black Ghost Valley, including Hyogwak, push the remaining half of the Nether Crossing ship towards the other advancing Nether Crossing ship, while the ghost kings of the opposite Nether Crossing ship pull the half with their attraction force. The half of the Nether Crossing ship they are pushing is filled with young cultivators whose cultivation realms are lower. Kagagugugu. On top of the collapsing Nether Crossing ship that is being pulled by Kang Minhee, Hyogwak and the other elders of Black Ghost Valley pay their respects in the unique manner of the Black Ghost Valley towards the Nether Crossing ship fleeing in the distance. Thump, 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 thump. As the elders pay their respects by striking their chests, the elders on the other Nether Crossing ship, led by Hyo Ryong, reciprocate in the same manner. I ask Hyogwak, why did you stay behind? You could have escaped with your ancestors. Hyogwak gives a bitter smile. As you may recall, Minhee is the child I brought here. He turns his head to look at Kang Minhee, who is stretching her hand towards us. Hyogwak and the elders all transform into ghost kings. Sails sprouts from Hyogwak's body. He transforms into the form of a ghost king with sails. The captain must share the fate of the ship. Being in a position of leadership means bearing the responsibility. I was responsible for Minhee, and I am also responsible for this Nether Crossing ship. Hyogwak and the ghost kings of Black Ghost Valley calmly look at Kang Minhee from atop the Nether Crossing ship, drawing forth their ghostly energy. Therefore, we will not flee from our responsibilities. Payet. All at once, they throw themselves into the darkness where Kang Minhee is, without hesitation. Hyogwak, until the very end, controls the split Nether Crossing ship, charging the remaining half of it towards Kang Minhee. I separate from the Nether Crossing ship, committing their final moments to memory. Quagugwelling. The Nether Crossing ship self-destructs, and Kang Minhee, who has embraced its energy, momentarily pauses in the face of the familiar explosion of energy. All the elders of Black Ghost Valley, who had ascended from the head realm, perish, without exception. Watching them, I take out an item from my domain. Welwung. A spiritual body the size of a head, covered in pure white light. It's the heavenly lotus fruit. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Just consuming it could turn an ordinary mortal into a 4-axis stage cultivator, an insane spiritual fruit. A snack enjoyed by true immortals. The fruit of the Melia tree nurtured by Hein Yong. As the true heavenly lotus fruit enters my stomach, a tremendous storm of spiritual energy begins to whirl within my domain. How much spiritual power does it take to turn an ordinary person into a 4-axis stage cultivator? At the very least, it would require enough spiritual energy to forcibly create the axes of the heavenly circle and earthly bearings. And if it's that much spiritual energy, early, mid, late, grand perfection. In any case, my cultivation reached the grand perfection stage before regression. It only dropped a little while regressing. A rumbling sound echoes from around me as lightning flickers. With the momentum to carve out my cultivation, I will unleash the single strike that severed the misfortune of the entering nirvana true person. The star-shattering stage is a star. Just as integration stage grand cultivators or demon kings develop domains within their bodies, star-shattering esteemed ones form stars within their bodies. Although it's the size of a moon, it's still large enough to be considered a star from a mortal's perspective. In other words, to land a meaningful strike against a star-shattering stage being, one must be able to sever a star. That's why you gave me the task of cutting a star, heaven-collapsing esteemed one. I charge at Kang Minhee, unleashing my sword move. And at some point, I realize that I have entered what feels like a pure white space. I must have reached the stage of awakening in the midst of facing this formidable adversary of the highest level. In this pure white space, I clearly perceive the path I must take. I can feel it. The immense force to cut down a star is boiling within me. The spiritual nature contained in the heavenly lotus fruit is refining my mind. If I take just one step forward, I will attain supreme enlightenment and cut down Kang Minhee. A new realm begins to unfold before my eyes, and as I stretch my hand towards the resonating enlightenment, I begin my sword dance. In the next moment, I realize that I have been performing accumulating dust forms a mountain completely wrong all this time. A new horizon begins to open. Chapter 427, What Does a Person Live for 6? Inside the cluster of pure white light, I gaze at the new horizon as if spellbound. However, I hesitate in swinging my sword. No. Instinct whispers. This moment of enlightenment is now or never. If I miss this moment, I will regret it for the rest of my life. Memories of when I failed to achieve enlightenment to the pinnacle during my first-rate martial artist days flashes through my mind. Am I going to repeat that same regret again? Gradually, the brilliant white light surrounding me begins to fade. Instinct warns me more urgently. Something whispers in my ear, shaking my heart violently. Is this not the realm I've longed for all my life? How can I stop here? Has the belief that if I attain the Tao in the morning, I'm content with death in the evening faded within me? Then I shout back at the questions echoing inside my heart. It's not right after all. Quajing. At that moment, the white world around me shatters. I shout at the voice that has been whispering in my ear, trying to lead me somewhere. This is not my way. TS. Simultaneously, the power that was boiling within me, as if ready to explode, begins to subside. It might seem like a foolish situation where I've just missed a chance at enlightenment. But only after overcoming this deadly temptation can I be sure. Something is wrong. What went wrong? I ask myself. You could have reached a higher realm. You missed that opportunity. Just as you lost your chance to the pinnacle from first rate and had to sacrifice a lifetime, you will waste this life as well. It seems you'll have to endure another 190,000 years of suffering to wake up. I spit harsh words at myself. But only after escaping the light and locking eyes with Kang Minhee, in the darkness do I understand. The reason I suddenly kicked away my enlightenment. It's because she's not something I should cut down. What I failed to cut down when I missed the enlightenment to the pinnacle was a leaf. If I had cut that leaf, I would have reached the pinnacle. But now what I have to cut down is Kang Minhee. What nonsense! Don't you have to sever all connections to rise to the second step before the throne? I shout at myself. Cut it, sever it, cut off all attachments and regrets and rise to the next realm. Wrong. I answer my own questions and raise my sword. What torments me the most is that, even though I've escaped the space of white light, the effects of the awakening I gained there linger, making countless possibilities of martial arts that start with the trajectory of Kang Minhee's attack appear before my eyes. If I keep unfolding, the accumulating dust forms a mountain based on these possibilities. I can surely cut her down. I might even advance to the second step before the throne and kill the mindless star-shattering stage Kang Minhee. But I don't do that. Instead, I ignore the enlightenment descending from the domain of instinct and charge at Kang Minhee. Cut it down, Seo Yunhyan. I will not cut. Isn't what you hold in your hand a sword? I look at my sword in response to my own shout. The colorless glass sword has become a refining void dharma treasure. What are the characteristics of a refining void dharma treasure? It is precisely that a refining void Dharma treasure is partially assimilated with one's heart essence. Hence, even if it shatters or flies far away, as long as the form of the Dharma treasure remains within the heart essence, it can be revived and retrieved through it. The Dharma treasure itself spans two planes, just like a cultivator's nascent soul. And this means that it can transform freely, just like an axis. My colorless glass sword has already fully fused with the all-heaven sword at some point, transforming into a thin line. A line is the optimal form for cutting. It's as if I am holding the very concept of cutting in my hand. But is a line truly only meant for cutting? Ignoring the voice in my heart urging me to cut down Kang Min-hee, I begin to enter into repentant enlightenment. When Azure Tiger Saint and Oh Hyen Siak bought me time just moments ago, I thought I needed their help because I found it hard to exert my full strength except by cutting. When Heo Guak and the Ghost Kings of Black Ghost Valley from the Head Realm self-destructed in front of Kang Min-hee just moments ago, I thought there was no other way but to perform a sword dance. But isn't it absurd? Even if a sword is made for cutting and stabbing, shouldn't a true swordsman also know how to hit, block, and deflect? The limits of the sword are not the limits of cutting, but it is a weapon made for cutting and stabbing. That is also true. This is an instrument designed for cutting, stabbing, and killing. However, cutting, stabbing, and killing all differ depending on the purpose. Being able to slice vegetables or meat to make fried rice, cut through the air to perform a sword dance, and even sever through one's own limits for training, that is the sword. In the end, even if the sword is meant for cutting, stabbing, and killing, it is the person who wields it. As the person holding the sword, I declare, I do not sever my connections. Payet. And with those words, I feel something inside me shatter. Is that so? It's the heavenly lotus fruit. What I just mistook for enlightenment is, in fact, the heart demon created by the fruit of true immortals, the heavenly lotus fruit. The insidiousness of this heart demon is so deep that, while most other heart demons would be devoured by me, the one from the heavenly lotus fruit is so intricate that it's indistinguishable from my own thoughts. Intricate and powerful. The heart demon from the heavenly lotus fruit is shocked upon hearing my response. However, instead of disappearing completely, it displays the possibility of a new realm right before my eyes. The increasingly certain power of accumulating dust forms a mountain. The increasingly liberated potential of accumulating dust forms a mountain. It's a possibility so undeniably certain. But I ignore the possibilities presented by the heavenly lotus fruit and completely let go of what I hold in my hand. A swordsman letting go of his sword. Have you gone mad, Seo Yun Hyen? It's already within me. I have never let it go even once. The heart demon shakes my heart powerfully. Letting go of the sword just now feels incredibly foolish and stupid. But I don't care and continue advancing towards Kang Min-hee, swordless. You let go of your sword, so how will you block Kang Min-hee? Yet, as I ignite, accumulating dust forms a mountain around me, I speak. It's already within me. I can block her with this. The hazy cloud of accumulating dust forms a mountain, which manifests the canvas of myriad forms and connections, covers the area around me. Wrong. Letting go of the sword means abandoning the act of cutting. Your accumulating dust forms a mountain will not be able to cut through anything. Indeed, without the sword, the unfolding technique's sharp energy has disappeared. Originally, this is a technique that manifests the mist of the canvas of myriad forms and connections through the cloud of sword energy. But this time, what unfolds seems to be just a simple ashen mist. Half closing my eyes, I realize as I plunge into the cloud of vengeful souls enveloping Kang Min-hee. This is no longer just a conflict between Kang Min-hee and myself. Now, my actions have become a battle between me and my heart demon. Realizing that all the connections with Kim Yeon, which were tied by the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, have been severed by the heart demon, I speak to it. Did you sever the connections? The one who severed it is you, because you need to cut off all connections and ties and become emotionless to advance to the next stage. You unconsciously detached Kim Yeon's consciousness yourself. Severing is not the only way to reach emptiness. I start to fend off the vengeful spirits rushing toward me. The hazy cloud begins to part as I carve a path towards Kang Min-hee at the center. Embrace all connections and become impermanence. This is the enlightenment of a being who reached the pinnacle of the world. Aren't you just reciting words that you yourself haven't truly understood? That's not enlightenment, It's just a chant, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. You're right, I don't fully grasp the meaning of the mantra. Thud. I repel another vengeful soul. Since I'm only repelling and not cutting them down to destroy them, the number of vengeful souls attacking me is gradually increasing. As the ones I fend off return, it becomes increasingly difficult to hold my ground. But one thing is certain. Attaining the Tao in the morning, content with death in the evening. The Tao is ultimately a path. It signifies the road I must travel. And the meaning of, if I attain the Tao in the morning, I am content with death in the evening, is that finding the path I must travel is of greater value than even life itself. My path is one where I cannot sever connections. Therefore, if it's for my connections to not be severed, I don't care about the next realm. Pazazek. With that, I stop listening to the heart demon's words and charge forward. Instead, I begin to feel. I feel the connection I have at this moment. I feel the essence between Kang Minhee and myself. She's someone with deep feelings and great empathy. Although she might appear prickly and unsociable, her heart is always warm. When something irritating happens, she may act tough on the outside, but in private she softens. It's precisely because she is like this that she embraced the resentment of countless vengeful spirits into her heart. In the end, it's Kang Minhee who has a heart so broad that she can embrace the pain of these resentful ghosts. However, if she carries the pain of others herself, who then will bear her own pain? Kurung. I finally break through the vengeful spirits and reach the barrier enveloping Kang Minhee. A barrier formed by the gathered souls of ghost kings. To cross through this barrier, I must ultimately cut it. But perhaps due to the influence of the heart demon, the sharp energy in my attack has vanished. I must break through this wall without cutting or stabbing it. It seems like an impossible task. Yes, just like the task Jang Ik gave me to cut through a star. I recall the all-heaven sword that I threw into the sky. At any time, I can summon the all-heaven sword. And if I were to slash with the all-heaven sword, I would be able to break through the barrier. But I don't do that. You fool, are you just going to stand here and die a meaningless death without doing anything? It's not a meaningless death. I respond to the heart demon, my eyes gleaming. Kang Minhee's ghost claw flies toward me. Dodging the slash, I shout. No matter who, how, or for what reason someone dies, there's no such thing as a meaningless death in this world. All deaths have meaning, because the life that led to that death holds meaning. Why does life have meaning? A life that seems empty and hollow. What meaning is there in a life that, from the perspective of death, is so transparent that neither blessings nor curses can be seen? Like combining all intents turns them colorless, embrace all connections and become impermanence. Perhaps life is not something empty but something full, and that fullness gives it meaning. Perhaps there's no fundamental difference between emptiness and fullness. Just as the combining of all intents creates the meaning of colorless. Perhaps combining connections creates the meaning of impermanence. Therefore, I will not die here. Payet. Light begins to emanate from my body. The faint mist of accumulating dust forms a mountain. The hazy mist that manifests the canvas of myriad forms and connections shines brightly. That light expels all the light of the heavenly lotus fruit from my body. Ironically, the heavenly lotus fruit was only ever a hindrance to me, apart from replenishing my energy. The nourishment of true immortals became a calamity for me, turning the heavenly lotus fruit into a terrifying heart demon mass. Twitch. Identify the true nature of the heart demon within the heavenly lotus fruit. More precisely, I realize the cause that gave birth to the heart demon. It's a small, dark red mist. Thinking about it, no matter how ancient and miraculous the heavenly lotus fruit is, it's still the fruit of a tree that sealed the authority of blood yin, the leftover of Yu Hao Ti, for tens of thousands of years. There's no way it could have remained untouched by the aura of blood yin. Thinking back, I should have been suspicious from the moment Co Atrial's tainted soul filling the heavens slipped out from my shadow and activated the blood sacrifice ritual, forming an attraction force with blood yin. Before I knew it, I was led by Co Atrial to eat the heavenly lotus fruit, which has been contaminated by blood yin. That must have been what created the heart demon. But it doesn't matter. In the end, I found the answer after overcoming the heart demon. Flash. Light swirls, and the next moment, I rise to the plane of soul along with the clouds. My entire body. My entire domain steps fully into the realm beyond the first step. This is the stage that some call the second step before the throne. Within the radiant light, standing firmly in the plane of soul, I draw the sword from within my heart. Without cutting anyone, the sword forms a sword veil, Chinese letter, sending Kang Min-hee's barrier and the countless vengeful spirits surrounding it flying away with a powerful burst of light. TS. Finally, I charge towards the chest of Kang Min-hee, who has grown to the size of a sky island after absorbing the energy of the ghosts within the barrier. Whack. Inside Kang Min-hee's chest, the darkness formed by ghostly energy is thick and sticky. This darkness is connected to the plane of soul, making it even more of an obstacle for me, who has fully entered the plane of soul. But I pay no mind, piercing through all the obstacles in a straight line and diving deep into her depths. And finally, I arrive at a familiar place, shrouded in misty clouds. Kang Min-hee's domain. Pure white clouds amidst a boundless sunset. At the center of those clouds, Kang Min-hee's true form is crying. She, having turned into a dark shadow, is shedding blue tears. I slowly approach her. Don't come. I hear Kang Min-hee's inner voice. I don't want you to get hurt. With my eyes having already entered the realm of the soul, I can perceive even the thoughts she wishes to hide within her heart. Please just go. Pud. As Kang Min-hee swings her hand, a powerful repulsive force surges towards me. I continue approaching undeterred. She unleashes an attack against me. I advance enduring the assaults. And when I stand just 3 zhang away from her, a thorn extending from her body pierces my chest. Pugwag. This thorn, drenched in the energy of death and deeply anchored within the plane of soul, pierces my chest and penetrates through my back, tearing apart my domain and leaving a massive scar. Don't come. And yet I begin to walk forward. Step. Even with the thorn embedded in my chest, even as the thorn sinks deeper into my body. Even as she pushes me away, even as she causes me greater pain. Finally, standing before her, I kneel and tightly embrace Kang Min-hee. Having reached the realm of the soul, I use only my will to fill Kang Min-hee's heart with the sea of righteousness and mountain of grace. She momentarily regains consciousness and cries, "What are you doing, stupid?" Instead of answering, I hug her even tighter. If there is someone who can embrace all the pain and resentment of every departed soul in the world, who will embrace that person's own pain and resentment? Kang Min-hee. The phrase, attaining the Tao in the morning, content with death in the evening, does not simply mean using any means necessary to become stronger. Stay still. Don't do it, Seo Yunhyan. It means having the courage to throw away one's life, or even something more precious than life, to find one's own path. If you have already found your path, then risking everything to achieve it is, attaining the Tao in the morning, content with death in the evening. The pain of one who embraces the suffering of all can be given to the embrace of the connection they hold. My path is connection. I'm sorry, everyone. I feel it. Ever since I expelled the heart demon from the heavenly lotus fruit, the being that was trying to take over my body through the heart demon has been overtly exerting its attraction force and trying to come over to this side. The remnants of the heart demon are forming an attraction force between that being and myself. It's highly likely that it's the being who governs the blood yin realm. At this rate, not only me but Kang Min-hee and our comrades will all be swept away. To prevent a repeat of the owner of Great Mountain incident, and to protect Kang Min-hee from suffering, at least in this lifetime, I activate the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. As I offer myself as a sacrifice, the surrounding clouds darken and storm clouds envelop us. Smiling as I hold her, I whisper, "Come down." The next moment, all heavens, Pugwag, the all heavens sword which I threw into the sky, pierces through the vengeful spirits, the barrier, Kang Min-hee's domain, and the storm clouds of the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens, descending from the heavens towards her. Beyond seated detachment, standing oblivion, in the realm Zhang Ik calls second step before the throne, my first single strike becomes a pillar of light that pierces us both simultaneously. Holding her, I collapse. With my sword, along with tribulating heavens, I sever the connection felt deep within her soul that reaches the depths of the netherworld, filling the void within her. I smile even amidst the pain. She said life is sorrow. But what does a person live for? A person lives to attain the Tao in the morning. What is the Tao that the person can attain? The name of that Tao is connection. Even if life is full of sorrow, as long as there is connection, it won't be completely sorrowful. That is my 21st return.